Good Tuesday to you and welcome. Bill Michaels Show is on the air. I am Bill Michaels and Ben Kenny producing the program today as well. Ben, do you get the sense that maybe people listen to the program?
I've gotten that sense before.
Yeah, I think people listen to the program and, they take it to heart. Christian Yelli last night, we had a whole discussion about the totality of home runs this year. 15 or more, or 15 or less. And damned if he didn't go yard. Had a good game last night, too. I was at the ballpark. It was a very sparse crowd last night. I don't know if it showed on TV or not, but a very sparse crowd last night at American Family Field. But they were treated to some good baseball. As Lauer yesterday had that early inning, that he struggled a little bit, and then all of a sudden he just started to dial it in. He ended up, I think it was bang, 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 4 straight strikeouts, and he just really never looked back after that. Obviously they tied it up, but that's when Yelich in that inning went yard. I think it was the 4th or 5th inning went yard, and then everything just kind of, the Donnybrook was on, so to speak. 6 runs total for the Brewers last night. A grand salami for Christian Yelich, who, by the way, that was no cheapie. He got every damn bit of that one. He hit a double early on. And that one I looked at because he pulled the ball. And I thought to myself at the time, I almost tweeted it out and said something to the effect of, had he gotten a hold of that one, he would have hit that one out of the ballpark as well, because that was one, I think it got a little down near the trademark of the bat and just didn't sound right coming off the bat. And he pulled it down the line and ended up falling in for a double early on in that contest. But the next time up, this is what it sounded like.
The 1-0 pitch, and Yelich, a high drive, deep right field. This ball is way back. Bye-bye baseball. Christian Yelich with a grand slam. And the Brewers break this game open in the 4th.
They certainly did, and they never looked back after that as the Brewers go on to get a win, and a nice win at home for those that were there last night that had a chance to see it. Speaking of Brewers, today on the program, we're going to talk with none other than Brandon Woodruff is going to be joining us coming up here in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. So stay tuned for that. Brandon Woodruff is going to be here. So we're going to talk with him a little bit. But yeah, good game last night by the Brewers. Bucks off last night, back at it again tomorrow night. So if you're waiting for Bucks chatter, we'll get into that a little bit later on. Steve Ashburner, by the way, is going to be joining us coming up in the last hour of the show. And we're also going to talk some Packers football today. Good Morning Football, I was watching this morning, and they were referencing the Green Bay Packers. The last time the Packers took a wide receiver, running back, what have you, in the first round, going all the way back to Javon Walker. And when you start to reference Paul Tagliabue, music back in the day as to when it was and what it was, how long it's been for the Green Bay Packers to take a wide receiver in the first round of the NFL draft, and what the Packers' needs really are and what this team needs to do, I think is rather interesting. So we're going to get into that coming up here in a little bit as well. So good stuff all around today. Obviously, the Brewers get the win with the win last night. They are now tied. Well, I shouldn't say that. They're only a half game behind the Cubs and the Cardinals. The Cubs have won 2 in a row. The Cardinals lost 1. Cardinals sitting at 5-3. Cubs sitting at 6-4. Brewers at 6-5, a half game behind the Cubs and the Cardinals for the top spot in the Central. Cincinnati has now lost 7 straight. 7 straight. After starting the season 2-2, they have lost 7 straight. Now, again, they weren't projected to do anything, so it's not surprising by any stretch of the imagination. And then the Pirates last night, after losing to the Brewers, sitting at 5-5, and they are a half game behind the Crew and 1 game away from the top spot in the Central, as everything is seemingly somewhat jumbled up. How would you like to be, the Pirates, or not the Pirates, but the Reds, the Diamondbacks, You look at some of these teams that are already, the Rangers are 3.5, but these teams are already 4.5 games back. A week and a half into baseball. And these teams are 4.5 games back. Your season's pretty much done. And you're right. Taylor says that swing last night by Yelich looked more like 2019. I don't know what about it was different, but it looked much like his old swing. Wasn't just throwing his hands at it. Everything was all together. That was all pure. That was all pure. And there was no doubt about that ball. None. Now, we said yesterday, he's had a couple where he's hit the ball hard, where that double he had over the weekend, that line drive to the deepest part of the ballpark off the center field wall, that was solid. It was a solid rope. And had it been pulled down the left field or right field line, chances are it's out of the ballpark without a doubt. But it never got more than maybe 30 feet into the air, 20 feet into the air. That thing was a laser. Last night, same thing. That bomb, hopefully, that bomb was the start of bigger and better things. I did have a few people last night, Ben. I was walking into the ballpark. There was a couple of guys. I got there about, last night was what, a 6:40 game? I guess I got there about a quarter after 4:15. There were some people standing in line to get in. And usually the people that are standing in line to get in are the ones that are kind of the autograph seekers. They run in and then they run down by the field and they wait and see if they can't, get a signing or something like that. So I'm walking in last night. And one of the guys that were standing there, there's like 4 or 5 of them. One of the guys looked over and, kind of yelled at me, hey, how you doing? And he said, Yelich, more than 15. So they were listening. Yelich, more than 15. And his buddy said, there's no way. He said 12 at best. Then the other guy said, well, he only hit 9, And then another guy yelled in, lighten up on Yelich. Give Yelich a break. I'm like, I'm just picking a number here. I'm not being hard on the guy. I'm just picking a number. So last night, people are listening. And hopefully somebody in that clubhouse was listening and said, hey, people picking you to hit less than 15 home runs this year. So maybe that inspired them. I always get a kick to see if somebody is actually listening to the program. So last night, Yelich goes yard. Good outing last night as well by Eric Lauer, who, like I said, early on in the contest, struggled a little bit. And then after that, he settled down big time. Gave up that early double. Hayes gets the double to lead off the game. And then after that, 3 straight putouts. And then he went on this strikeout binge where he had a strikeout to end the second, a couple of strikeouts in the third, and one to end the third, and went on from there. So solid game last night by the Crew. Back at it again tonight. You got Brubaker on the mound. Corbin Burns goes to the hill tonight for the Crew. So looking forward to that. But like I said, we've got coming up here in just about 10 minutes. Well, less than that, about 5-10 minutes. We're going to talk with Brandon Woodruff. He's going to be joining us. So Eric Lauer, by the way, getting his first win of the season. Lauer, 6 innings, 5 hits, ended up with 5 total strikeouts. Just the 1 run. That was it. Gustav came in. He goes an inning, only gives up a hit. Milner comes in a couple of base knocks, but doesn't give up a run. And Urena comes in, and he closes things out. He goes in 1-2-3 fashion. 13 pitches, 8 of them for strikes, all ground balls, and I take that back. 1 put out at the end of the game, and that was the extent of it. So Brewers with a good night last night. And to see Colton Wong get a base knock, Willie Adames get a base knock, like I said, Christian Yelich with a double and that grand slam last night. McCutchen struggled a little bit. 0 for 3, had 1 walk, but had 2 strikeouts. Rowdy Tellez with an 0 for night last night. Custon Hura gets in and gets himself a 1 at bat, but went down 1-2-3. And then Hunter Renfroe was an 0 for last night. Narvaez had the 1 base knock and scored a run as well. And Locaine roped a ball into the corner last night, hit with a little bit of authority, going 1 for 2, scored a run and walked last night as well. So not a bad night at the plate. Good stuff. All that kind of good stuff for the Brewers last night. They knock off the Pittsburgh Pirates. Back at it again tonight. Game 2 coming up this evening. Let's do this. We're going to take a quick break because we're going to get Brandon Woodruff on the line. He's going to be joining us coming up in a couple of minutes. This portion of the program, as always, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Don't forget the Bud Light Hard Soda. They've done it right. 0 sugar. They've got the classic cola, the cherry cola. They got the orange sodas as well. So many good things. And orange and the citrus orange soda as well. Bud Light, they've nailed it. They got it right. Zero sugar. Enjoy responsibly. When we come back, pitcher for your Milwaukee Brewers, Brandon Woodruff, going to join us. Coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. We're glad you're here, for lack of a better term. Just kind of a black day. That's okay. Brewers get a win last night. Seems warmer. When they win, all is right with the world. Bucks hopefully tomorrow night get win number 2 against the Chicago Bulls. Glad to have you back on the program. And joining us now, pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers and Wisconsin State Fair goer from last year. Our buddy Brandon Woodruff is back with us. Brandon, how you been?
I'm good, man. Just getting settled in, going from 90-degree weather in Arizona to I don't think it seems to get above 45 here so far. So we're just waiting on the sun to keep peeking through and get warmer.
So you're into the season. You're now 10, 11 games in. How long does it take you? Once you come out of spring training, it's kind of a weird scenario this year because it was a ramped up, accelerated spring training. You get into the season, like you said, you leave warm Arizona, you go play in cold Chicago. You got to go down to Baltimore. You're finally back home. How long does it take you to get settled in?
It takes a little bit. This year has been, the last few years has been different as a whole. And, I mean, if you really look at it, couple outings of the season are still technically supposed to be spring training outings if you account for a full spring training. So, yeah, I mean, guys are still trying to get into a groove and get going, and it's such a long year. And but yeah, I mean, it takes a little bit to get settled in, but once you do, it's everybody's good to go.
Your first outing versus your second outing, is it a big difference as far as changes or video or what you did? Because the first one wasn't your best, obviously, but the second one you came out just dealing. Was there something you did, or did you just start to feel better or get into a groove?
Just a couple mechanical changes, like I mentioned. Like it takes a little bit to get going for me, but once I kind of nail some stuff down and can feel right, I feel like I can sustain that for a while. And that doesn't necessarily mean results in a way, because the baseball game is crazy. So, but just trying to get to the point where I feel good. And I felt like the St. Louis compared to the Chicago, I was in a better spot in terms of being able to throw strikes and kind of do what I wanted to with the baseball. And so now just trying to get more consistent with that and, run along with that throughout the season.
Looking at all the preseason predictions, you guys are obviously picked to win the division in many different facets. How difficult is it, though? And I try to explain this to people because they just say on paper, this is what it is. Corbin's going to be dealing, you're going to be dealing. Then you look at Freddie and what he did last year. No problem. Pitching staff's great. But how tough is it to emulate last year when you have success to this year? Because it really is a different time.
It's different. Every team now has a DH. That makes up a little bit of difference. You're not facing a pitcher there sometimes in the lineup. I mean, it's just the game of baseball is so difficult. Yes, we expect to have those same results or even better, but it's going to be a different year. It's a different time for baseball. We don't know how the season is going to go. Wish I had a crystal ball and can tell you that we were going to all put up the numbers we did last year, but we're expecting to do better, but we'll just see how it unfolds. But it's a different year, and you can already tell with that extra hitter in there in the lineup, it makes a difference. So just trying to adjust to that and go out there and just trying to keep making pitches, and we'll see where we're at the end of the year.
Talking with Brandon Woodruff, Brewers pitcher, joining us on the hotline. When you guys finally get fans in the stands, you have a normal opening day. Do you breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief because the last 2 years for you guys have been so tumultuous?
Yes. No, it was nice getting to throw the home opener. It was packed out. It just felt normal. It felt right. And you know what? Hopefully that's the case going forward. And you're right. The last couple of years have been weird. They've been different. And that's just kind of what we've had to deal with. So, it was definitely a breath of fresh air getting to our home opening series and seeing a lot of Brewers fans. So it was definitely fun.
When I was listening to Andrew McCutchen describe the incident, we'll say, when he got hit down in Chicago, and the incident aside, I'm listening to him talk, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy's a vet. He gets it. He's well-spoken when it comes to kind of expressing what guys think inside, careers, clubhouses and such. Has he become, even though he's kind of that DH, but because he's a veteran, he's been there, done that, he become kind of a very quiet leader?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say he's real quiet, but and not in a bad way, but he's vocal, and he is definitely a veteran leader, and he brings that presence to the clubhouse. And you're right, he's been there, he's done that, he's been in about every situation. He's won an MVP, and just a great person and a great ball player. So he brings a lot to the table, and we're very lucky to have him.
Then you've got a guy like Lorenzo Cain. He's kind of said this might be his last hurrah. Christian Yelich coming off of a couple of subpar performances, but busts out in a big way last night. Both of those guys contributed last night. Does it take one or two games like that to maybe jumpstart some guys to get them going? Because I know last night, watching Yelich with his swing, how majestic it was, and he boomed that grand slam. It wasn't like it was just got out. It was gone. Does something like that get guys going?
Yeah, definitely. You just never know when things are going to click in a sense. And but yeah, I mean, it just takes a game or two, and next thing you know, a guy's in a good spot, and they rely on that, and just try to get as consistent as possible, and keep trying to do the right things to be successful. So yeah, I mean, it just takes an instance, and you never know when that's going to be.
When you, outside looking in, when you lose a couple of games early, fans who are salivating for baseball to come back, they start to panic. They start to say, oh, my God, the sky is falling. And in baseball, how difficult is it? Because you're in that clubhouse. You know it's a grind. You know it's a long season. You know 1 week can turn it around, especially early on in a season. How difficult is it not to start to think in the back of your head that maybe the sky is falling? Or maybe you don't even care. You're just like, you know what? We just got to grind it out. This is the end of our spring training. We go through the dead arm period. We go through the tired period, the dead leg period. We just got to get through that and keep going.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff that goes into a full season that, in terms of you looking at record and stuff, that I feel like we've always never really come out of the gate hot, but there's always that instance in the season where we just start playing really, really good baseball and kind of catch fire. And you know what? That's kind of what every team, you know, if they're at the top of the division, that's what they're going to do. So you look at last year when we had such a big lead at the end of the year, and then the Cardinals just caught absolute fire, winning, I don't know, what is it, 17, 18 games in a row. And you just never know when that's going to happen. But when you do, you just ride that wave as long as possible. But that's why baseball is such a mental sport. You got to be mentally tough to grind out 162. It is a long, long year, and I don't think many people realize that. And but yeah, it's a long year, but you just gotta stick with it and stay to your day-to-day process and just keep going.
How is it using the pitch.com device?
I canned it after about the third inning in Chicago. It went out on me in the middle of the inning, and I didn't like it. And that's for me personally. Some other guys still use it, I think, but it brings a different element to the game. Yeah, I can see there's some benefits to it, but it's weird having a little voice in your ear, and when the crowd gets loud and all that stuff, I'd rather just, be normal and have signs.
Now, can you pick the voice, or is it like just a standard computerized voice, or is it that British lady that gives you instructions, directions to your GPS, or what?
I actually think they told us in spring training that you can record, like if we wanted our voice on it, we could record our own voice, on it. So I can't remember. I don't know whose voice it was on it. It was somebody on our staff, and but yeah, it was. You can record your own voice, I believe, if you wanted to. But it was a little different. But there are some benefits to it. But at the end of the day, I like to be as normal as possible and just go that way.
Before I let you go, I got to ask you: do you wish you could still hit? Did you like hitting as a National League pitcher?
I tell you, it was fun, but the thing when I'm pitching, man, I'm totally focused on pitching, and sometimes I'm sitting there on the bench, and they're like, hey man, you got to go on, get on deck. You're about to be up, and you kind of have to lock in on that. But now it's just strictly, worrying about pitching and how am I going to make pitches, and that's what it strictly comes down to now. But yeah, I did enjoy getting in the box and hitting, because that's something I did as a kid growing up my whole life. And but you know what? It's different. So just got to get used to that and roll with that.
The cerebral side, I felt, of the National League style of play, I thought was so interesting, not only for the managerial aspect, but for the fans to try to think ahead, obviously, for what it is we do when it comes to second guessing and such. But I just thought that there was such an art to the National League style, whether it was a pitcher dropping down a sacrifice, a double switch, and things. I just thought there was an art to it that now is gone.
Yep. Yes, I completely agree. And that was one thing that I kind of miss about it. You have to think through so many different options, and that's where the chess game comes out. There's just so much stuff you have to think ahead for, and you know what? It's when we go to in the interleague, it kind of takes away the experience of the interleague play. When we go to the AL or the AL teams come to us, it just kind of takes that experience away for both sides. And there was definitely a lot of thinking ahead going on and trying to figure things out in the National League for sure.
I appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Best of luck to you in the near future, and I hope to talk to you again down the road. And if not, we'll see you at the Wisconsin State Fair, hopefully in August, okay?
Yes, sir. You sure will.
All right. Great stuff, Brandon. Appreciate it, buddy. Talk to you later. There you go. Brandon Woodruff, pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. And thanks to him for there is an art to National League Baseball that is gone. Now, like he said, it's just as a pitcher, you just go out and concentrate on pitching. You don't have to worry about it. But there is an art to it. Speaking of pitching, did you see last night who threw out the first pitch at the ballpark? Ben Kenny.
Yes, I did. I believe I commented on it.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You did. As a matter of fact, I forgot that you did. Quadzilla was there last night. Good stuff. And he did go to the top of the mound. He didn't look great, but he didn't look bad. He wound up, threw one with a little bit of heat. Now it was high and outside. I don't know who the catcher was. I couldn't tell you. They didn't have like one of the Brewers that were out there. The Brewers took very limited, we'll say, infield and hitting last night. When I got there, the Pirates were on the field already, and the Brewers didn't do a whole lot. They did a little bit of ground balls and a few things after the fact, and then that was it. The Brewers didn't get out there too early yesterday. But then Quadzilla went to the mound, got a nice ovation. What's really sad is when they have that, there was hardly anybody in the ballpark at that point. And if they were, standing at the concession stand. Now they played Go Pack Go and, a few things when he went to the mound. But and it's good to see those guys. Don't get me wrong. It's good to see A.J. Dillon down on the hill, but he didn't get a chance really to get accolades from the fans. It was so sparse last night. I don't even know how many people were actually there in the stands last night. I got to think that it was minimal at best. I never did see what the final box score was for the total crowd at the ballpark last night, but not a huge crowd by any stretch of the imagination. Not even close. But a good night last night. A win. Eric Lauer, like I said, 6 strong, only giving up 1 run. Did his job last night. Back to the top. Now you got Brandon Woodruff on the hill tonight in Game 2 against Pittsburgh, hoping to get the win tonight, thus winning the series and continuing to move forward. Bucks tomorrow, Game 2 between them and Chicago down at the Fiserv Forum. So we got a lot going on, and we've got some Packers stuff to talk about. I saw Good Morning Football today over on the NFL Network, and they were talking about the Green Bay Packers. They were talking about the needs, if you will, and there was some thoughts on the Packers making a deal and or bringing in another free agent, which I found rather interesting. And I want to talk a little bit more about that when we come back. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Hey, our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin want you to know that time is running out for the end of the month, because if you're going to get some of the cash off the windows and throwing in that patio door, you've only got a limited amount of time all the way through the end of the month through April 30th. When you buy 3 Pella windows, you're going to save $500 when you add a patio door. You buy 6, you save $1,000 when you buy a patio door. You buy a dozen, you save $2,000. You get the math? And, well, all you got to do is add that patio door. And they have 6 different lines. They have the vinyl windows, the economical vinyl windows. They have the Impervia, which is harder than fiberglass. It's the hardest material. Then there's the wood windows, which are absolutely fantastic. 3 different lines there, from contemporary to traditional. You can pick the hardware. You can pick, say, a roll screen. You can pick a slider window, the exterior, the interior, all of that. With our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, all you got to do is add a patio door and you save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So just go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com. And tell them we sent you. Go to PellaWI.com or call them 855-PELLA-WI. That is 855-PELLA-WI. And check out everything at PellaWI.com or Pella Windows and Doors and what they have to offer here in Wisconsin. Good stuff. So I'm watching this morning on Good Morning Football and the discussion of the Green Bay Packers and the lack of wide receiver help they have started to come up and what Sammy Watkins brings to the team. And I think we can all agree that Sammy Watkins, with the deal that he signed, he's got incentives. He's got the ability to make up to $4 million. Okay, great. The breakdown basically goes something like this. The base salary is $1.12 million. Prorated bonus, $350,000. Per game roster bonus, $330,000. Workout bonus, $50,000. The cap number, $1.772 million. And he's got the ability to make additional incentives beyond that. So, that being said, the thought is that you got Sammy Watkins kind of on a prove-it deal. You still have Alan Lazard, who is good, crisp route runner, semi-trusted by Aaron Rodgers, but not a guy that blows the lid off. You've got Randall Cobb, aging veteran, trusted friend, good more so in when the play breaks down and Aaron Rodgers needs somebody on the same page with him to be able to then say, come back to him to catch the football. Okay, good in that area. Amari Rodgers, we don't know yet. We don't know what he's going to be. Then you've got other guys that are guys. So the thought is, by many, that the Packers need to make an additional deal, that they need to go out and find somebody else, bring somebody else in. Here's the rub. When you start to look at some of these wide receivers that are getting big dollars, they weren't necessarily first-round draft choices. Everybody's got an evaluation of talent, okay? Everybody looks at certain things and says, well, this guy should have gone in this round. This guy should have gone in that round. Look at what he's doing as a third or fourth round draft choice. And now this guy is going to be a gazillionaire because of his ability, the way he's excelled, whether it's in the system with a particular quarterback, because he's learned certain techniques from a certain coach, whatever it may be. So on one hand, we as fans want to see the Packers go out, spend some money. You're going for it. You don't have time to develop people. And that's true. On the other, there is value. And I can't say I'm necessarily buying into all of this, but there is value if you find someone in the draft that just emerges, that you just see and you say, okay, that guy has got it. That guy is the real deal. And you watch him fall on the draft board and he falls to you in the second or the third or the fourth round. Okay. Then you start to get it and you start to say, okay, it all is not lost if the Packers don't get another veteran wide receiver. However, to the other side of the coin, I still think they're going to take somebody in the first round. I still think they're going to either move up to get one of the guys that they really believe in is going to be an impact player. I still think they take a wide receiver in the first round. But I think they're going to get one, if not two more, later in the draft. They're going to just take the buckshot approach, get as much talent as we can, and see what sticks. Maybe the first round guy doesn't stick, but maybe the third round guy or the fourth round guy does. But I think they're going, because they got 10 picks. I think they're going to take as much of a shot at some of these guys as you can. You stay true to your board. But I have a feeling that they're going to get at least one in the first, and then probably one, if not two more beyond that, to see what actually sticks. And they're looking for the value. Now, former general managers are all saying the same thing. If you watch, I was watching ESPN. They're saying, look, you can't go into the season knowing you only have 2 seasons basically with Aaron Rodgers. And it could be a year-to-year thing. But knowing that you could go through this again next year, you got a shot. You don't want to blow all your money, but you also don't want to waste the opportunity. You're really in a fine area quandary right now. So what you want to do is and again, the Packers don't have a lot of money. It's not like they're sitting out there with Miami Dolphin money and they can go get Tyreek Hill and pay him that kind of a crazy salary for $30 million a year. You can't do that. You can't go get a Jarvis Landry at $20 million a year. You can't do that. So you're either going to wait for, as we had talked about yesterday, just a brief period of time, you're going to wait for some of these guys that can't find jobs, that have these high salary requirements, but still want to win a championship. You're going to try to find them and you're going to talk to them. And you're going to say, hey, look, we're not going to pay this. We can't. It's not that we don't want to or we don't feel that you're worth a certain amount, but we would like to go short term for a little bit, maybe more money, but more of a prove it deal. And hey, if you want to be a free agent after this and you have success with Aaron Rodgers, which you probably could if you're healthy, then you can go off and shop your wares anywhere else in the next year or two. But this is what our plan is. So if you want to come to us, if you want a legitimate shot at a championship, here you go. That's all the Packers have to offer. That's it. They can't sit down and just go, you know what? You're coming to play with Aaron Rodgers. You're coming to Lambeau Field. You're coming to one of the more storied franchises in all of football. You got a legitimate shot at winning a Super Bowl, but we're going to pay you $20 million a year. They can't do that. They don't have it. They don't have it. They just don't. So they're going to have to basically be really, really good in personnel evaluations when it comes to the draft and maybe get a second or even third tier depth receiver to help them. So you don't need Sammy Watkins and a bunch of young guys. What you could use is Sammy Watkins and another, say, if you do pick up a guy like a Jarvis Landry, one of these guys on the outside looking in, you pick up another veteran, and then you pick up a couple of good wideouts, and then they all just mix and mosh together. And then you just run out there with the best that you have or whatever circumstance or situation they happen to fit. You kind of go in that. That's the way they're going to get it done. They're not going to go out and find themselves a DK Metcalf. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Not with these guys that have kind of banded together to say, look, we see what the money is now. Tyreek Hill's $30 million. Devontae Adams, $28 million. We got other guys making $20, $25 million. No. We're worth more. Third, fourth year of our deal. We're not coming back till we get these deals. We're not gonna waste our time right now. The money's going crazy for guys that are true weapons in this league. No. It's time for us to get paid. And then some of these teams are going to have to make decisions on guys in their third year as to what they're going to do. Because if you got a guy that you believe is going to be special, you go ahead. You pay that man. Get it done. Save yourself a little bit of money on the back end. You run the risk, obviously, because you got him for 2 more years with limited money, but you don't want to let him get to that 4th year or even into that 5th year. And then all of a sudden, like we've seen now, where it just skyrockets, which is the reason Jair Alexander's numbers are almost, depending on what they're going to do with him, Jair Alexander, with every day that goes by, the money's going up. With what we've seen happen over in Cleveland, whether or not you like Cleveland and you think Cleveland's a real deal or not, or they're idiots or, whatever, doesn't matter. They've raised the bar. This is what guys are being paid now for this particular talent in the NFL. And so Jair Alexander has done nothing but make money this offseason. Nothing. He could sit there right now, eat a Big Mac and drink some soda and fries, kick his feet up, play a little video game, and all he's doing is making money with each passing moment because the price is going up. And the Packers, I'm sure the Packers wanted to get him signed, and maybe he didn't want to because it takes 2. Maybe he wanted to say, hey, let's wait a little bit. We got some guys that are sitting out there. I want to see what they go for. It's probably a smart move by his people. But for the Packers, now look. So what you wanted out of Jair was to get him renegotiated, to get a contract extension, to get that number to come down, and then everything could just, you breathe easy. He gets paid. He gets his money up front. He's happy. And now, how are you going to get that salary down? How are you going to get that down? It's a huge amount of money that's going around right now for corners in the NFL. He's making money. Every time he takes a breath, he's making money. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so. Hey, our friends over at Wabam, W-A-B-A-M, go to getwabam.com, cleaning products. And if you are a detailer, if you're a car guy, a motorcycle person, whatever it happens to be, maybe industrial, janitorial, go to getwabam.com. That is getwabam.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Indy cars are running. Get your ticket to see them scream around the road course in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. For event information, go to roadamerica.com. That is roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Stop off and see our friends over there at Quick Trip. They got you covered. Bacon wrap fillets. Oh, so good. 99 cents. Limit 5 right now over there at Quick Trip. And in addition to that, you've got all the other fixings. You've got hot dogs, hamburger. You can get their brats, buns, all the condiments, a little bit out of the beer cave if you choose to do so. They even have some liquor. If you want to get really crazy down there, and if you're down there toasting a brewer's victory, you can do that too. All kinds of things over there at Quick Trip. Or maybe you just want to take a big package of family fried chicken and grab yourself a couple of sweet teas. They have that. I mean, there's so many different options over there with our friends at Quick Trip. Don't forget, stop in the bacon wrap pork fillets, 99 cents each, limit 5, and it's great for kicking off the grilling season. Or you can even grill them in the oven. Throw them in the oven. Good to go. That's our friends over there at Quick Trip. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, you want to drop an email to me, you can do so as well. thebillmichaels@gmail.com. That is thebillmichaels@gmail.com. You can hit us up there as well. Maybe you'll hit us up over on Facebook or on YouTube. YouTube, great way to follow the show. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels, Michaels, Bill Michaels Show. Same thing over on Twitch TV. But again, if you want to drop us an email, the good old-fashioned email, you can chime in that way, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. That's thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Brentley says Packers should trade a second-round pick to Pittsburgh for Deontay Johnson. Ricky said exactly. Alexander costing more and more money the longer they wait. Sign him now. Which, had they signed him 3 days ago, they would have gotten him a lot cheaper. Now, big time money. Big time money. This is from Robin. Says, don't you think the Packers allocate a certain amount of money to each position group? Packers don't pay and draft wide receivers like the Cowboys. They see, normally I would agree with you on that. But the problem with that is that because so much money has been put to certain groups, so much money's gone to the quarterback, so much money's gone to a middle linebacker, so much money's gone to a center, or to a nose tackle, so much money's gone to a tackle, so much money is going to be paid to a corner. When you find quality guys, you have to determine who you're going to keep and who you're not going to keep. You know? So I think you kind of got to throw the payment book out the window for what you're allocating per position, because you have different circumstances. If you're the Packers prior to, say, 3-4 years ago, yeah, you probably have so much money allocated for certain groups. But because things have changed, the Packers philosophy, if you will, it's out the window right now. As long as you have a viable opportunity with an aging quarterback who has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years left, you don't know. As long as you have the window open, you're pushing your money to the table. You're saying, here we go. Let's do this. What is going to give us the best shot at winning? That's where you're at right now. You know? Robin says, crazy thought, though. Maybe he plays this year and then you franchise tag him and trade him the following year if the Packers don't have enough money to end up signing him, which is a real possibility. You wanted to get that money, though, back. You wanted to get further under the salary cap. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if you look at the over the cap, or if you look at Sport Track or whatever it happens to be, some of those sites right now, the Green Bay Packers, I think they're like 12, depending on which one you look at. They're like 12 to 14. 14, 15 million under the cap right now. If you look at Sport Track, they're 14.9 under the cap. Now, about 7 of that has to be allocated for your draft choices. Okay. So that takes you down to 7.9. So just about $8 million. That's not a lot of money to go into the season with. You were hoping to get Jair signed, and maybe you would then, because right now Jair is the 3rd highest paid player on the team. Did you know that? He's making more money this season than Preston Smith is, than Kenny Clark is, than Dean Lowry is, Adrian Amos is. He's making $110,000 less than David Bakhtiari. Bakhtiari's 13.4. Jair Alexander is 13.3. Bakhtiari's 13.42, and 13.294 is Jair. But you get the point. He's the 3rd highest paid player on the team. The rest of these guys are all veterans, second contracts, all that kind of stuff. Jair sitting there making 13.2. They were hoping that this would be it, that they could renegotiate or extend that deal and get that down to about 7 this year, maybe 6, something like that. Save about 6 million, 7 million bucks. In case you needed to go out and pick up an OBJ or something like that during the season, if indeed he comes back and he's able to play, which is not out of the realm of possibility. But that's but now, when you look at Denzel Ward, he's making $20 million a year. That salary's not going down, it's going up. 877-867-1670. If you look at the calculated market view right now for what guys should be making, now this was as of yesterday prior to the signings, but Jair was projected per year to be about 15.8 to 16.4 million a year. Now that's obviously gone up. Whereas Rodgers, his value, his cap hit this season is 28.5, but his value in the market would be 46.6. Whereas Rashawn Gary, you got him kind of on the cheap right now. He's making 5.051 cap hit this year, where his value is 20.5. And he has surpassed expectations by far. And kudos to him for doing so. So the Packers have a few guys on the cheap right now, but when all this starts to come due, you got to make some decisions, man. You got to make some decisions. 877-867-1670. AutoCat says, is Jair a fragile corner? Resign Kevin King, trade Jair, and draft a corner. No. No. Let's do this. We're going to step away. Take a quick break. 1 hour down. We got 3 yet to go. We're off to a fast start today already. Hang in there. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Last night saw Christian Yelich hit his first home run of the year, a grand slam in the 4th inning that helped the Milwaukee Brewers beat the Pittsburgh Pirates 6-1 at American Family Field. This was Christian Yelich's first home run since September 24th of last year and just the second in his last 51 games. His manager, Craig Counsell, says he's giving it all each and every day.
I think all he can do is put everything on the table every day to be the best player that he can. And that he does that every single day. And that's all you can ask from a player. You know, there's no question that we need him to perform to reach our goals. But he's doing everything he can every day to try to get there and to try to be that productive hitter that he knows he's capable of.
The Brewers improved to 6-5 on the season. It'll be the same 2 teams tonight. The Milwaukee Bucks are up 1-0 in their first-round playoff series against the Chicago Bulls. After their victory on Sunday, Coach Budenholzer says sometimes you need to win ugly.
So to win a game that's a little bit ugly when we're not our best, I think Chicago has a lot to do with that. And so, it'd be good for us to take, 1 or 2 days here and then get back at it on Wednesday and be ready for game 2.
Your work-life balance is important to you, and Sutton Transport agrees. Sutton Transport offers a 5-day work week, same start times daily, and you'll be home nightly and on weekends. Sutton Transport is now hiring CDL drivers and forklift operators for all shifts. Enjoy some of the best benefits in the industry, consistent year-round work, twice-a-year wage increases, and enjoy your family time you deserve. That is work-life balance. The road to success is with Sutton Transport. Apply at suttontrans.com.
Yesterday, the Green Bay Packers began their off-season workouts. As expected, Aaron Rodgers was not in attendance, but it was announced yesterday that on June 1st, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen will take part in Capital One's The Match at Wynn Las Vegas. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome back, Bill Michaels Show. We continue on today. Hopefully, your day is good on this Tuesday. The outlook for the rest of the week. I woke up this morning and it was still cold. It was still bleak, But the outlook for the rest of the week continues to get better. Got a little bit of clearing skies today, a little rain tomorrow, warmer on Thursday, warmer on Friday, and really warm come the weekend. Unfortunately, it's going to be rainy, but I'll take a warm rain. I'll take warmer weather. I'll take shorts and short sleeves, T-shirts, that kind of thing. I'll take that. Take that in a heartbeat. Hell yes. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. And great to have you on board today. Hey, I want to say thanks to our friends over at Pindell. If you're looking for a quality machining and manufacturing company to work for or work with, if you're a company that needs parts in the state of Wisconsin or beyond the border within the sound of my voice, go to Pindell, P-I-N-D-E-L, Pindell.com. That is Pindell.com. So, excuse me, talking a little bit about the Green Bay Packers, about their needs, about the thought going into the draft. I am not one to just take whatever money you can possibly grab and throw it at one wide receiver. I think you're going to need a host of guys. I think you're going to need almost the shotgun approach, probably 2 or at least 3 wides out in the draft. And then after that, I mean, you need a tackle. You need to address the tackle position. You'd like to get additional depth in your secondary. You'd like to get another linebacker. You'd like to get another pass rusher. You'd like, not that you're going to hit on every one of these guys, but you know what you're going to need in this draft, and I say it all the time, is at least 3 guys who legitimately can either start and 1 guy who's going to come out of this draft and would be on his way to a Pro Bowl type of career. That's what you need to continually fortify this team. You hope that that Pro Bowl guy would be the wide receiver, that you could find serviceable guys to play in the trenches, and then find one more guy in the secondary to give you added depth. And then you're kind of complete. If you can find another tight end, that might not be a bad way to go. Go back to the Bill Belichick days when he had 2. He had Gronk and he had Aaron Hernandez before Hernandez went crazy and started killing people. But you go to the big 2 talented unicorn tight ends that can pass block, that can run block, that can still go out and catch passes, do possessions down the field, move the sticks, you know, that kind of thing. It's just, that's maybe the direction you could go as well. Because, and again, I hate to bring this up because Tom Brady is a different animal. What he and Bill Belichick had together is just a whole different plateau. But Brady never had these unbelievably stellar downfield magician wide receivers. What they had was a good offense, a decent run game. They used the 2 tight end set. They did motion. You know, Josh McDaniels was good at calling plays, running that offense. Brady was good at just getting rid of the football. Didn't have to get it downfield all the time to blow the lid off. Just had good offensive guys in the trenches. You can win that way. You can win that way. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Jason says, do you think that Lazard could put on some weight and become a tight end? No. You only because you would already be shorting yourself at the wide receiver position. You don't even have wide receivers right now. Now, if you picked up 2 or 3 wide receivers, 2 of which you knew were going to be players in the NFL and ready to contribute right here, right now, maybe you could run him out of that position, I guess. But otherwise, no, you don't. You're not going to put it this way. All you're doing is shifting a space. Alan Lazard is a good slot receiver. He's good at running routes. He's good at finding the hole. He's good that way. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Jason says not this year. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I never say never, but no, I don't think so. I think he's just going to be considered a good slot receiver. He's going to be a good, he's just going to be a good slot receiver is what his career is going to be. And I don't know where that leaves Amari Rodgers, because Amari Rodgers was supposed to come in and he was going to fill the slot receiver position. And he really never had that much of an opportunity with Randall Cobb getting all the reps and then ultimately getting hurt. He did get some playing time, but even then he didn't find his way onto the field very often. So I don't think so. But does that sound like a reasonable plan? And does that take us out of you got to go out and spend money, you got to re-sign Jair, you got to go and redo the contract of Dean Lowry, you got to come up with, another $10,000-$15,000 or $15 million to be able to go out and fortify that wide receiving position? Does that make more sense? I don't think all is lost if you don't end up with DK Metcalf, like many of you really, really want. It would, don't get me wrong, it would be fantastic if they worked out that deal. But I don't think all is lost if you don't pick him up. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Hit us up if you want to do so. Daniel is listening to us in Toma. Daniel, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Yeah, what do you think about the tight end out of Wisconsin? I like his hands and the way he runs routes. Do you think we should draft him high, or do you think
no,
he's got them at all?
No, I mean, if he's there later on in the draft, 3rd round, something like that, 4th round, maybe you take that chance. Yeah, go ahead and do it. But right now, in the top couple, if he's not, because he's not going to be one of the top guys on your draft board, you're going to be looking for guys in the trenches. You're going to be looking for another right tackle. You're going to be looking for wide receivers. You're going to be looking for outside edge rusher. That's where the runs are going to be, and those are the guys you're going to probably grab early. After that, go in the direction of a tight end. I would not object to that.
Well, I'm just saying, because that would give us another offense if we had, like you said, a 2 tight end.
Right.
And then, is there anybody coming out like a basketball player or something that usually goes in the NFL? Every year it seems like there's one stocky guy that's in the center that, ain't going to play basketball. He'll try football.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, there's been a couple of them over the years. Is there anybody you could think of?
Well, there's
player could possibly be a receiver.
Maybe if you find somebody like that later on in the draft. I mean, I haven't taken a look to where I'm looking at basketball players. I'm still looking at the first couple rounds of the draft and what the Packers' place is in it. But if you find somebody that's athletic like that maybe you want to take a chance on, chances are you're not going to go ahead and grab them in the first 4 rounds. It would be maybe a college free agent type of walk-on type of guy or something like that. I know that there's a lot of talk about that Greg Dulcich, the kid out of the tight end out of UCLA, that maybe they can get him later on in the draft, 2nd round, 3rd round type of area. But beyond that, I haven't really gotten that deep into the tight ends as of yet. I've looked more at the trenches, and I've been looking more so at the wide receiver position, because those are the 2 areas that the Packers are going to need the most of.
Well, I understand that, but
yeah.
I'm just trying to look at the receivers. There's always a sleeper out there.
Right.
That seems like it blows someone away. And then it's kind of curious. I've been watching the receivers and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they say there's quite a few good receivers, but there's not any receivers in this draft that are as good as, say, Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs. Those guys, when they came out, there's nobody like that in this draft, at least not that they believe is there. So whatever you get, you're going to have to develop a little bit at least. They're not just going to come in and all of a sudden just kind of take over, so to speak.
Well, you got to remember, you're also going to higher caliber quarterback compared to what we have, like I say, in Wisconsin. I mean, Rodgers over the quarterback in Wisconsin is nothing. So he's going to improve as long as he has a connection with the quarterback.
Right.
Do you agree?
That I agree with, yes.
And so you can't always predict it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just, like we've out of all of our receivers left Green Bay, none of them have succeeded anywhere else.
Right.
Because it's the quarterback that makes the receiver makes the quarterback, but mostly the quarterback makes that receiver look good.
Mm-hmm. No, I would agree with that.
I mean,
you can, there's guys if they get on the same page with a quarterback, that they kind of know the holes to find. They know where the quarterback likes to throw the ball, how they like to throw it. Sometimes just being on the same page can make you good. And you don't necessarily have to be a burner, have a great leaping ability, but if you just know how to run routes and find the hole and where the quarterback likes to throw and play, then yeah, you can suddenly become a really good, whether it be tight end or slot receiver or wide out.
Correct.
Yep. And if your quarterback's really good at putting the ball into a tight window, that's another way to be really, really good.
I agree with that.
All right.
All right. Well, we'll have to talk to you next time.
All right, buddy.
Tonight
Talk to you soon.
We're going against the championship in bowling.
Uh-oh. In bowling, look out.
Oh, God.
In bowling.
First, I'm going to look across the draft board and find every wide receiver that played basketball in high school.
Right.
And then we can get into bowling.
I look at it this way. There's probably 3 or 4 tight ends that people are talking about. I just went to my notes, and the best pass catching combination with blocking is Trey McBride, the kid out of Colorado State. You got a decent target in Charlie Kohler, the tight end out of Iowa State, Jelani Woods, as far as just a pure receiver when it comes to tight end, coming out of Virginia. Those 3 guys really kind of, in many areas, trip the trigger, so to speak. So those are the 3 guys that a lot of people are looking for. Is beyond that, I think you just kind of wait and see best available in late rounds. That's probably the best way you're going to go.
To his point, though, I think Ferguson in the 5th or 6th round, if you're looking for depth, I don't think there's a better guy to fill that role.
No, I agree with. But when he was talking about jumping up and getting a guy like that early, no, he's not going in the first 2 rounds, 3 rounds. That's not going to happen. I wouldn't assume. But no, if he's there, hell yeah, I'd take it. If he's there in the 5th round, 6th round, yeah, all day long. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Trey McBride. I talked about Dulcich. There's Jalen, what is it? Weidermeyer, whatever his name is, out of Texas A&M. The Ruckert kid out of Ohio State draws a lot of good interest. I talked about Jelani Woods, Cade Otton. Jake Ferguson, by many, is rated in the top 10, but he's not listed as a first 2-round guy by many. And when you look at the mock drafts, unless somebody just absolutely falls in love with him, he's probably a 3rd, maybe 4th round pick by the time it's all said and done. But Jake Ferguson's in the top 10 in many of those lists. Specifically, when I go to our lads and their scouting guide, which is one of the better ones that I kind of trust. He's, I think, rated at 8 or 9. I can't remember where he's at, but 8 or 9, because I was reading a little bit more about Jake Ferguson. But anyway, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. I look, if Jake Ferguson ends up in Green Bay, I would probably say, finally, you got a legitimate Packer that's coming out of the state of Wisconsin. They actually looked in that direction and went with the best available and a guy that can help them. I'd be fine with that. 877-867-1670. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Buy more, save more with a patio door.
Wait, what?
Right now, at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, the more windows you buy, the more you'll be saving by adding a patio door.
Miss Della from Pella?
Please, call me Gina.
Okay. Gina Della from Pella? Like, I was told there'd be no math.
Like, that's okay. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin makes it easy. Now through April 30th, when you buy 3 Pella windows, you'll save $500 when you add a patio door. Buy 6, save $1,000 with a patio door. Buy a dozen Pella windows, save $2,000 when you...
add a patio door?
Correct. And along with 6 full lines of windows, traditional to contemporary, Pella of Wisconsin has financing to fit most any budget.
Awesome.
Buy more, save more with a patio door, but only through April 30th. Set your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
If you are looking for barbecue, if you are looking for good beverages, good brews, good food, if you're looking for a good place to go, great staff, our friends at Boondocks, barbecue, brews, all that kind of good stuff, right there on Highway K in Oconomowoc, County Road K, as a matter of fact, in Oconomowoc. Just stop on out, tell Tom, Stacy, everybody out there, we said hi. As a matter of fact, I'm going to see them, I think, this weekend. I think I'm stopping out that way this weekend. But Boondocks barbecue and brews, and just a great place, a good time, a lot of good people, and just it's a huge bar. Just walk in, and it's one of those good, authentic Wisconsin joints. Just a good joint. And come summertime, they've got that big expanded patio deck that they're going to make even larger. If you're going to take a motorcycle ride, great area to make it a stop. Enjoy. They have TVs on the outside of the place if you want to catch some sports or whatever's going on that day. So good stuff from our friends out there. Boondocks Barbecue and Brews in Oconomowoc. And really good people. That's the best part about it, is really good people out there. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout. The Robin says the over and under on how many picks the Packers get from Michigan, Ohio State, and Georgia. Well, does it matter? Does it really matter? You know what I mean? I don't think it matters, because they are teams that are predominantly better. They have been better. They produce NFL quality talent. You know, I mean, it's like every time a linebacker comes out of the University of Wisconsin, take them. They're usually pretty good. An outside edge rusher, pass rusher, take them. And you hope that, Jake Ferguson gets picked up maybe 3rd, 4th round. He's a big time contributor. You'd love to see him right here in our own backyard if that happens. But I don't care if they take everybody from Ohio State or everybody from Georgia or everybody from Alabama or Michigan drives me nuts. It pains me to say it, but they've got some decent players coming out of Michigan too. Take them. It just depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking for guys in big time pro offenses that can move the ball downfield, good wide receiver in different styles of weather, then yeah, you're probably going to go Ohio State. Otherwise, you're going to look towards some of the colleges that, kind of air it out more. Yeah, you can go Georgia, you can go Alabama. Usually you would go and find those guys at, say, Miami for a long period of time. I don't want to say much out of the Pac-12. It used to be you could maybe go grab a guy or two out of Oregon because they had such a wide open offense and they threw the ball so much, but things have settled at Oregon now for a while. But you can certainly go into the SEC. Kentucky was another one. They aired it out. You could find what is it? Randall Cobb's from Kentucky, as a matter of fact. So you kind of went to the South for the wideouts and running backs, albeit if you could find a power back out of the Big Ten, maybe to be your 1-2 punch, the two in your 1-2 punch, you could go in that direction. Some of the ACC, Clemson, you can go in that direction for wideouts, backs, quarterbacks. But quarterbacks are so hit or miss. There's only usually 3 or 4 that are worth their salt every year, and there's only one, maybe once a year, that comes out that really sets the world on fire. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, feel free to go ahead and do it. Who is this? Our buddy ESPN Steve says, I attempted to watch USFL last night. I slept well knowing Jordan Love could play there. Still get paid and not suck any worse than some of the quarterbacks there. Ben, have you watched any of the USFL?
No. There was a big thing on the morning show about one of the teams is the Philadelphia Stars.
Correct.
And they didn't realize that they all play in Alabama.
Gotcha. I didn't.
And there's nothing Philadelphia about it.
I didn't realize that.
I follow the former Wisconsin guys, but I don't know. I can't watch it.
So all the teams play in Alabama, but they're named after certain cities. Does that even make sense?
No. But neither does not paying football players to play in front of empty stadiums.
Right. Well, that's true. Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Weird. Did not realize that. I just thought that they were out there playing in some of these smaller stadiums or college stadiums in whatever area it is they happen to be in. Okay, well, didn't know. Now we know. Shame on me. But then again, when it comes to the USFL, I always wait. To see what is going to happen. If it's going to actually take off and there's some excitement, or if it's a real waste of my time and you're just going to see it go by the wayside. Now, don't get me wrong. The guys that are playing in that league, they're giving it their all. They're in the trenches. They're out there playing. They're hoping to be discovered. There's effort there. There's real human story interest there. Some of the names that are there are trying to bring prestige to it. Obviously, the names that are involved in it, yeah, okay. But beyond that, I don't have a lot of interest. I just don't.
The one thing I get from it is the rule changes that they throw in there for the NFL to then maybe try in the future. Like the kickoff stuff, but that's really it.
Right. Well, they've always, the NFL has always taken something out of whatever it is, whether it's something from the broadcast, some kind of interaction, maybe a rule change, something. I go back to the first time they had the USFL, they were, or the XFL. That's when the XFL had the overhead camera, and now it's in every stadium. Every time you see a game, it's one of the first things they do, whether it's Fox or CBS or NBC or ESPN, is that remote camera goes up in the top of the stadium that they can move across the field and give you the aerial view. That came from the XFL. Some of the interactive cameras in with the officials and the pylon cams and stuff, that came from some of those leagues. So they've taken something from it. They've taken some rule changes as well. But beyond that, man, it's just, the leagues have fallen and failed miserably. Not really had much of an impact. Go back to the original USFL, back when you had Jim Kelly, back when you had Steve Young. You talked to, Herschel Walker. You talked early on when they were making a legitimate run monetarily at maybe some of the NFL prospects. And, you watch the NFL or the documentary on the USFL, and a lot of that became ego. A huge amount of that became ego, and they began to implode because Trump was invested in that. And to this day, many of those owners blame some of the greed of the league on Trump and some of the failure on Donald Trump in his early days. But, the league just didn't have that sustainability. They were paying an exorbitant amount of money to some of these players, and they did well for a while because they were garnering some of the best players coming out of college to play in the USFL and not in the NFL. They were taking legitimate superstars. And you're not, until you find a league that's willing to pay that kind of money, that's really willing to set up the infrastructure to really compete against the NFL, you're never going to have a threat to the NFL. What you're always going to have is an also-ran. You're always going to have a league that just hopes to get a little bit of that money interest from the NFL, from fans that are still salivating for whatever it is they are not getting from the offseason of the NFL. That's all you're hoping for. Otherwise, you go at it full bore, and most likely you're going to lose. Right? I mean, if you're going to do anything, now's the time to do it. With all the streaming money that's out there, with all the negativity surrounding the NFL, with all the now you've got an investigation going on to Jimmy Haslam and the Cleveland Browns about trying to get their head coach to lose games. With all of this, now's the time to do it and to proclaim we do it for wins. We don't take anything less. We're not trying to, tank games. None of that. I mean, now's the time to really get a capital idea and capitalize on all the negativity surrounding the NFL. If you're going to start a league, now would be the time to do it. But I just don't know how much money's out there that you could legitimately compete against the NFL. You would have to find billionaires that are willing to take a bath early to try to make the league sustainable. And even then, your likelihood of failure is probably 75 to 80%. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Your summer could be $100,000 sweeter with the Quick Trip 250 $100,000 winner's circle. Race down to Quick Trip and purchase any Chex Mix Muddy Buddies, or Fresh Blends with your Quick Rewards. And you could be one of 5 weekly winners and be entered for a chance at the grand prize of $100,000. Celebrate a victory lap with $100,000 with the Quick Trip 250 $100,000 winner's circle.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hey, get a hold of our buddy Sean at Epoxy Flooring Done Right. That's epoxyflooringdoneright.com. As a matter of fact, epoxyflooringdoneright.com. And I know he's got some stuff going on with the Dockhounds new stadium. And he's doing that right now. And he's got some painting projects going on. But his people are all over the state of Wisconsin, from Green Bay to Milwaukee to Madison, everywhere in between, whether it's in epoxy floor coating, polyurea coating, whatever it may be. 262-443-2852. 262-443-2852. Again, 262-443-2852, or go to epoxyflooringdoneright.com. That is epoxyflooringdoneright.com. Again, epoxyflooringdoneright.com. Good stuff. You know what? I got an email the other day from a listener, and he was actually up in Manitowoc, who got a floor from Sean and said how great it was, and thought it was, extremely, cool now in his basement. It wasn't in his garage. It was in his basement, much like I did with the gym. And if you get something like our friends from Kunis RV, if you've bought an RV or had an experience with it, I want to know. If you got an RV down there or at any one of their dealerships recently and you heard about it here, I'd love to know. I'd love to know, because I love that direct interaction So if you have done that recently or are considering doing that, get a hold of me, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. That is thebillmichaels@gmail.com, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. So getting back to all of this discussion about who they maybe could draft, yeah, right? Some people were talking about whether or not Elon Musk should quit buying Twitter and put his own league together. Yeah, you know what? I don't even attempt to know all of the stuff that's going on. I know that they're talking about poison pills and judges and decisions. And today, the news, I can watch the news for, I don't know, 15 minutes maybe. I get the headlines. You know, you hear more about the war in the Ukraine, Elon Musk and his attempt to buy Twitter, the mask mandate that was discontinued via one of the justices. You know, the weather, Brewers get a win, a little bit of a sports update, some things going on in our community in the state of Wisconsin. I know there's, you know, some districts that are being redesigned, so to speak. And beyond that, after that, it starts to become white noise. And I hate to say that because I've got so many friends that are in the news industry, but it just, you know, when you run the tickers across the bottom of the news constantly of just stats and numbers, and it's just like, come on, you know, give me some other stuff. We were talking about this the other day. Give me some other stuff. But Elon Musk, he's got his own thing going on right now. He's got his own thing happening. Can you imagine all the sayings on the sidelines that Elon Musk would put? He's all for free speech. He's all for just opening things up. Whatever you want to say it. You know, that type of thing. So I don't know. I don't know what Elon Musk would do. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's see here. This is, what else do we have? This is from Anthony. Anthony says, hey, Unit, love the show. I think the Packers need at least 3 wide receivers, 1 right tackle, an edge rusher, and help for Kenny Clark alongside other than just Jerron Reed. Do you think Dean Lowry is washed up? No, Dean Lowry actually had a better season last year. His numbers were far better last year. And you're hoping that he continues to take another step forward, because if he does, he'll have another really solid season this year. Then your defensive front is pretty damn good. You're enjoying that. You know? I don't think it's, look, you don't have Vita Vea flying through holes, but Kenny Clark is more than, you know, more than stable. Adding Jerron Reed next to him, Dean Lowry is good. If you can get another big body or two, you know, TJ Slayton is another guy they're hoping really begins to come on. Although last year, TJ had his moments where he would look really good in a couple of plays. And then after that, he's just gone. He was just pushed around. And you're hoping that that learning experience, and they say the jump between the first year and the second year can be substantial for many. You hope that that jump begins to happen this season, that when he gets that rotation, when he gets that body opportunity, that he takes advantage of it and that he's grown in that sense. Otherwise, that's a wasted pick. I'm not going to say that, you know, he's a bust or anything like that, but you really hope that he adds something. You know, Jack Heflin was okay, you know, but again, an undrafted guy. He was a college free agent. TJ Slayton was a 5th-round draft choice. I'm not expecting these guys to be world beaters, but TJ Slayton specifically, there were times, like I said, where he looked good. You were like, oh, okay, there you go. And then all of a sudden, the next 2 or 3 plays, he's just getting washed out, just pushed around. So, you know, the one thing that every defensive lineman, every defensive pass rusher will tell you is when you're in college, you know, 9 out of the 10 or 12 or 13 games that would put you in the recognition of being an NFL talent, you're beating the hell out of guys. You're just beating up on them, okay? If you're going to play at the next level, you're beating up on guys in college. And you're doing it with probably 2-3 moves tops. When you get to the NFL, you got to have 2-3 different moves a game that are mastered. And then you've got to take it to the next level and find 2 or 3 different ways to get out of other things along the way. You got to have 16 different moves. You got to master them all to be really beyond good or serviceable or just unbelievably brutally strong. One of the two, because it's all about leverage when you're in the trenches. So TJ Slaton's got a little learning to do, and hopefully he takes what he learned last year, accentuates it. Whatever he's done this offseason makes it better and gets bigger, stronger, and is able to really kind of help. If you've got, let's say they do pick up another defensive lineman that is solid. Okay, let's say they get a guy second round, okay, and he's solid. If you get an upgraded TJ Slaton, Dean Lowry coming back off a pretty solid year, a healthy Kenny Clark, a Jerron Reed, and then another body, that becomes very reminiscent of the year that you had BJ Raji, Ryan Pickett, CJ Wilson, Howard Green, Cullen Jenkins. That was 5 solid guys in the trenches that you could then go and begin to rotate fresh bodies in and out, specifically in certain situations. Dom Capers loved that. To be able to say, okay, this guy is good against this. This guy's good over there. This guy is good in a pass rush situation. If this guy's stout against the run, this guy's just a body that's going to take up space. So when we want to run a linebacker on a blitz, this guy's good there. So you have that ability. You have that ability to run through that. Caller Ben says, caller asks why the Packers would not go after Kaepernick. Well, one, he hasn't played in a while. 2, for everything he brings in, and he's going to bring in a ton of scrutiny, media attention, okay? You have to have a situation in which you're very, 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 very stable. And it would mean more to have him in your locker room than to have a distraction. I really thought this past year would have been the year to bring, for any team, to bring Kaepernick back. You know why? Because of COVID. Because you couldn't get into locker rooms. So therefore, if any team was going to bring him back, it would have been this past year. Because you don't have access to him. You have Zoom calls, and they're pretty much at arm's length via the team. I hope to God they open the locker rooms back up. I mean, baseball's open their clubhouses back up. The NBA, you can get back in. This is ridiculous. I hope they open the locker rooms back up. I was talking to a couple of the writers last night at the ballpark, and I was asking them, how is it? And they said, look, first of all, the media has to be vaccinated, boosted, the whole thing just to get in a locker room. Okay. So there's no chance, so to speak, of the train. There's players that don't have the vaccine. You're more likely as a media member to get something from them rather than they get it from you. That's the way it's being viewed by many. But guys are just saying it's so nice to get back in a locker room and talk to guys again, to get insight, to find out things about them, whether it's on the field, off the field, thoughts, directions, maybe to take a story, something different that we didn't know, whether it's, you think about pitching a guy this way when really indeed they're pitching him this way. I mean, just the detail of getting the story, so to speak, of being able to interact. So last year you didn't have that. The NFL dictated who went to the podium and when, and basically what was said. They picked your questions. They picked reporters, So last year would have been the ideal year if you were going to bring Colin Kaepernick, not the Packers, but any team, to bring Colin Kaepernick back, because he wouldn't have been that distraction. He couldn't have been. And now things are opening back up. I don't see, and let me say this, I don't see him ever playing in the NFL again. I just don't. He's been out of the business. And when he was in the business his last year, 2 things. 1, he wasn't that good. And 2, he opted out of his contract. I don't see him ever coming back again. So my question would be, why would the Packers want him? I would never want to see him in a Green Bay Packer uniform. Not at this point. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
They don't repair cracked helmets, cracked teeth, or cracked stadium seats. They do repair cracked windshields. Complete auto glass, windshield repair and replacement, windshield camera recalibration, and more. An insurance-preferred service provider with free price quotes and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Plus, you'll be happy to know you're dealing with a local, family-owned business who understand their Wisconsin neighbors. Complete Auto Glass, repair and replacement. Visit CompleteAutoGlass.com. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
The Bill Michaels Show, we continue on this Tuesday. Looking forward to the Brewers and Pirates coming up later on tonight. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free. Some emails we'll get to coming up here shortly. The investigation into the possible misgivings of the Cleveland Browns is now taking place. And like I mentioned before, the NFL opened up the investigation into the allegations that the Browns have provided incentives to then head coach Hugh Jackson to lose games. Goes back to the 2016-2017 season. This is the second time. Remember Stephen Ross and Brian Flores, the then head coach, now or since then has been fired by the Miami Dolphins, but accused the Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross, of doing the same thing. The NFL then looked into this and is looking into this. But now here comes Cleveland. In an email statement, the league confirmed that the former Securities and Exchange Commission Mary Jo White, leading the independent probe into allegations made by Jackson in February, saying that the review is ongoing. She's also been hired by the league to investigate the Miami Dolphins in light of the Brian Flores claims that he was offered $100,000 per loss by the owner back in 2019. Jackson said, 2 years ago, I tried to do it the right way through the bylaws and constitution of the National Football League to ask them to investigate the Cleveland Browns for all the allegations that I've made. So why open an investigation now? A Brown spokesperson then said, even though Hugh recanted his allegations a short time after they were made, it was important to us and to the integrity of the game to have the independent review of the allegations. We welcome the investigation, and we're confident the results will show, as we previously stated, that these allegations are categorically false. I don't want to sit here and claim that I believe by any stretch that the NFL is not dirty, because I believe a lot of the allegations, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think many of us do, right? I don't know what to believe at this point, but I'll say this. There's enough going on in the NFL that I cannot believe. The one group you have not heard from is the Players Association. I can't fathom why the Players Association is not making statements regarding all of this. Have we heard anything from the Players Association, Ben?
No, not
it's
in
been
terms
silence.
of tanking.
It's been silence. Because tanking would then maybe, in some cases, in some contractual situations, take away from incentives. You know, if they are if coaches are manipulating games to lose, players aren't being played, plays aren't being called, you know, whatever it is, if they're being manipulated to lose, ultimately that could cost players incentives, ultimately money. The fact that you've had this very public display regarding the Washington Commanders and 2 sets of books, and they're vilifying this guy as a rogue employee while the employee is saying, no, this is all true. They were hiding money and hiding revenue. So therefore, the Players Association wasn't getting the full amount of revenue share. You got Miami and Stephen Ross accused of manipulating the system, the possibility of a guy like Tom Brady coming there, the head coach being fired, him saying that their owner is saying for $100,000 a game, lose. Now you've got this coming out about the Cleveland Browns. I mean, I cannot believe we have not heard anything regarding the Players Association. I thought for sure we would hear or get some kind of a statement about all of this to say, hey, look, you know, now maybe they're just sitting back and waiting for the investigations to culminate, or maybe they know a lot of this is not true. Maybe they know that. I don't know. But I am somewhat surprised that we have not heard anything regarding the Players Association at this point. Because ultimately the players are kind of being used as puppets in all of this. If any of this is true, they're being used as puppets, which would be, it's somewhat earth-shattering to think that teams are throwing games. The integrity of the league is at stake. And the Players Association, nowhere to be found. I mean, I guess if I'm an NFL owner, that's great. I'm glad they're not out, on the media circuit right now, pontificating about the SOBs that run the league. But on the other hand, I'm thinking, man, where are they at? What are they waiting for? I mean, if you've ever wanted to jump on Roger Goodell for things going on behind the scenes that just don't seem to be copacetic, now's the time to do it. Holy mackerel. 2 hours down, 2 to go. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this. Welcome one, welcome all. Good to have you. Hour number 3 of the Bill Michaels Show on this Tuesday. Talking baseball, talking some football, Bucks basketball tomorrow. Steve Ashburner, by the way, going to be joining us. Lead writer for the NBA.com. He is going to be joining us. We'll talk with him about this Bucks-Bulls matchup coming up. Game 2 tomorrow night down at the Fiserv Forum. And in addition to that, we'll also discuss the remainder of games on the docket via the postseason. You saw last night a good one with the Warriors getting away. The Warriors, I'll tell you what, Golden State put an emphatic stamp on things last night, didn't they? Man, I said all along, I said there's a couple of teams that I look at and I think, okay, they could be dangerous to the Bucks. And the Warriors last night, the Nuggets, by the way, fighting among themselves. Little pushing, shoving, guys having to be separated last night. If you were watching that game late, I watched that game when I got home last night. 126-106, the Warriors stomped them by 20. Then the Mavericks, they got a win. They ended up getting a 110-104 win over the Jazz. And your 76ers, Ben, a 112-97 win over the Raptors. How about that?
Yeah.
You're not excited about that?
I don't know. I realistically, if I'm being completely honest, I kind of want the team to lose so they could fire Doc Rivers and get Harden out, but whatever.
Yeah, well, do you think Harden's going to be there next year?
Next year, yes, because he has an option that's not at some ridiculous number, but then there's rumors of another 5-year deal on top of that, which I'm just not here for. But I will say many in this part of the country take a lot of, they look down upon how often the Sixers go to the free throw line.
Yeah.
And it has been funny to watch that exchange. Every time they're shooting free throws, I see Buck's Twitter explode. It's like, oh, how can you root for this level of basketball? It's like, we don't.
Right.
Like, we don't like it. It's just what we're given, you know?
Right. Yeah, I think the 76ers, I like them as a team. I've never been a James Harden fan. James Harden has always seemed to me like an incredibly selfish player. And in some of the biggest moments, it's all about him. It's not about the team. And they've never been able to really win with him. He's taken them close, certainly on the offensive prowess, but there are times where he just looks like he becomes disinterested. Like he just quits. And he is the kind of guy that once you get him down and you get in his head, he'll take his ball and go home. He just caves. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that extra tenacity, that chip on his shoulder to win a championship. He just doesn't. And the minute they brought him in, I thought, okay, that's the beginning of the end of the 76ers. Now, granted, he's giving you more than Ben Simmons has, who is still, lame.
Noted NBA fan, Ben Simmons.
Yeah, exactly. But to the Warriors and Nuggets, a good one last night. The Warriors, if you get into the finals, I think they put a stamp on things. I think it's going to be the Warriors and the Suns. That'll be the series over in the West. That'll be the series in the West. Tonight, speaking of the Suns, they take on the Pelicans. The Suns lead that series 1-0. The Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. Who do you think is going to chain themselves to a stanchion tonight?
What new thing will we see? They have to take it a step further.
Okay. What else will they do now? Because you figure it's going to happen again, right? Does it happen again tonight in Memphis, or do they wait now until the series shifts back to Minnesota coming up this weekend when the Minnesota Timberwolves come back, possibly leading that series 2-0? Tonight's a big night for the Grizzlies. John Morant and company, man, if they don't get it done tonight, they may find themselves out quicker than they can say anything. The Heat tonight, they lead that series 1-0 over the Hawks. They take on the Atlanta Hawks coming up later on tonight as well, down in Miami. But what happens tonight? That's the game to watch, 7:30 Central Time. That game, by the way, on NBA TV. And what is going to happen tonight? Who is going to run out of the stands? And what do they adhere themselves to something with?
I might put money on like a dart gun deflating the basketballs.
What do they do tonight?
Or will there be a live chicken? There should be a betting line on that.
Yeah, how do you get a live chicken in, though?
I mean, there was a chain.
Come on. How do you get a chain? The chain I can understand. You can put a chain in the bottom of a that just, first of all, goes to show you how lack of a security there is. But unless it's a heavy steel metal, I don't even know if the chain would show up. It would be aluminum.
Say it's an emotional support chicken.
Yeah, you're wearing a shirt that says, "I need to pet my chicken."
As long as it doesn't bite little kids' hands, then they're in the clear.
Yeah. Unless see, if you really wanted to make a statement, now this is just me, but if you really wanted to make a statement and stop play, you would order like a 4-pack of large sodas and carry them down in that tray and then bust forward and throw them on the court. Because it would take forever to clean the court. You know what I mean? That's what you would do.
Yeah, you're sounding a little too intelligent, though.
I know, right? You know, you would run out, you have your shirt on, throw them on the court, soda, ice, beer, whatever goes everywhere. It's wet, it's sticky. You got, 30 kids out there with towels. They're all on their hands and knees. They're wiping stuff up. In the meantime, you're pulling out your shirt with a big, bucket of KFC with a circle through it, on your shirt. Okay, whatever. And that stops play rather than the 30 seconds it takes for them to cut you off of the stanchion. Like, I'm not going anywhere, because you're going somewhere. They're not going to leave you there. Like, they're going to go, she's good. Chicken saver. Yeah, they're good. Leave them there. You're leaving. So you might as well go out, and if you're going to stop play for a long time. Do it that way. I shouldn't be giving people ideas, but, some of these things that they're doing, I'm gluing myself to the court. The dumbest ass move anybody's ever made. At least back in the day when remember when the casinos were paying people to run naked, and they would paint the, casino.com on their stomachs and on their backs, and they'd rip off their clothes and run naked through the field. It happened a lot in soccer and happened a lot in the NFL. At least then, there was entertainment. You were going to jail, but go out with a splash, just sticking your palm with a bunch of Gorilla Glue. Come on. She's still at home. She's got the fine, the ticket they gave her for jumping onto the court and probably whatever damage she did. She's got that thing stuck to her hand still. She's still looking at it. She can't get rid of it because you can't peel the piece of paper off. It'll tear up. So she's sitting there with that everywhere she goes. She's waving at people, and people are like, that's a ticket in your hand. How you doing? You're the ticket lady. How are you doing? Yeah, she got it stuck to her. What a dummy. What a
victory
dummy.
Salute. He's pulling down his pants. Put up your pants, my man.
Yes. Yes. The victory salute. Pull up your pants. How are we looking? Yeah. You remember that back in the day when they would have the casinos would come out and pay these guys to take their shirts off and run around naked on fields with whatever it was, online casino.com or something like that. And they'd run around these soccer stadiums naked.
Oh, yeah. And then in the MLB playoffs, like 6 years ago, there were two women at Yankee Stadium sitting behind home plate, and they started flashing the camera to promote their OnlyFans account.
Yes.
Which I think is the best promotion I've ever seen.
Yes. I could see that too. Now, in an NBA game, you don't have a constant video feed towards one particular person. So it was like the Marlins man. Remember the Marlins man in baseball? He would always find a place behind home plate and buy the ticket. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. But at the NBA, you can't find it. You got to do something. You got to be more creative. At least earn our respect other than just, being passionately bananas.
Well, I will say I respect the fact that the chain woman went limp and got carried off.
Yes.
It's a lot more entertaining to be physically carried than, say, be escorted while you walk.
Yeah. She went limp. Yeah, she went suddenly scarecrow on him out of the Wizard of Oz. She just went limp and her knees buckled. She couldn't get up. So there you go. Mark says, as long as you're not out there choking your chicken. Dynamite drop in. So what happens tonight? We're all, the ratings coming out of this listening audience tonight for the Minnesota Timberwolves game are going to be through the roof for the first time in a long time. We're all going to pay attention to a Minnesota Timberwolves game to see what happens tonight.
Will everybody keep their clothes on? 877-867-1670.
If you were going to stop play, how would you do it? How would you do it? Ideas. How would you do it? Mark says that is a very devious thought unit on throwing things on the court like that. Have you done this before, or do you just have a very evil mind? I think I was born into the mind of Lex Luthor. Possibly. I always think critically about what it would take and what would do certain things. So not that I ever want to do it, but nor have I ever. But you always think some of the things that people think of, you kind of are like, are you doing it that lame because you're kind of, you're going to get into trouble, but you don't want to get into too much trouble? Or are you just like that lame? Or maybe you're that bananas and you just, your critical thinking ability is out the window because you're doing this to begin with. So you're kind of a nut to begin with, I don't know. But whatever happens, I hope Kevin Harlan is there to call it. That's what I hope for. Kevin Harlan's the best. He would make a woman gluing herself to the court with a live chicken in her arm sound exciting. And he wouldn't miss a beat. That would be the best part.
Casey's running down the middle, the 40. Arms in the air in a victory salute. He's pulling down his pants. Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants. He's being chased to the 30. He breaks a tackle from a security guard. The 20, down the middle, the 10, the 5. He slides at the 1, and they converge on him at the goal line. Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man.
That's the best. Pull up your pants, my man. Like it's a friend of his, He can bring anybody into the conversation and make them feel welcome. Pull up your pants, my man. How are we looking? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, my God. He is so good. So good, Kevin Harlan. Where's the one where the guy, I think he's drunk. He's pounding his chest. Do you have that one?
Give me a minute.
Oh, my God. That is fantastic. That's the best. Him and Kurt Warner on the call on that one. That was fantastic. There's another one, I think, where there's a cat that ran onto the field, and he's calling the cat or a squirrel. And there's one of them where he's calling the actual running of the cat down to the 10, the 5. He's into the goal line. He's into the end zone touchdown by the cat. That's fantastic, too. You'll find that. We'll step away, take a quick break. I've got an announcement to make. The sun has come out. I can't believe it. That big orange ball in the side, in the sky. Fantastic stuff. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The NASCAR Series returns. Secure your tickets to see the big guns roar around the road course in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. For all the racing information, go to roadamerica.com. That is roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Somebody has run out on the field. Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs at the 50. He runs at the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms, bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Here comes the blue coat.
Oh, they got him.
Here comes
They're coming
the blue
from the
coats.
left. Oh, and they tackle him at the 40-yard line.
That is the best. The best. Oh, that's so good. Welcome back. Oh, yeah. Him and Kurt Warner. Oh, they got him. Here come the blue coats. That is the best. Kevin Harlan on the call when a drunk fan ran out onto the field and displayed himself. Might be the best way to put it. That is fantastic. Oh, I love it. Love it. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at this guy could have used maybe some New Mail Medical at the time, as a matter of fact. Dropped a few pounds, felt a little bit better about himself, wasn't so moody, might have kept him in the stands with his clothes on. But that being said, if they can help you out with ED, 98% success rate at helping you out there. How about if you're feeling kind of moody, feeling kind of sluggish, kind of tired, maybe you don't have the energy to run out and strip and run around a football field anymore the way you once used to, or at least thought about, because you're just like, to hell with it. I don't have enough energy. Check out our friends at New Mail Medical, 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. Again, 414-455-4451. Good people over there. Again, that's New Mail Medical. Give them a shout. Tell them we sent you. Good stuff. Phil says, love watching the T-Wolves. Happy to see them back in the playoffs, but Burns on the mound for the Brewers tonight, going to be a hard to decide watch tonight on the TV. Well, you got to flip back and forth. I mean, put it this way. You flip back and forth because I can't imagine that anybody's going to run out onto the court in the first quarter. If you're going to make a statement, do it midway through the third. Or if you're a Grizzlies fan and the T-Wolves are up and you want to take momentum, that's when you do it. If you're a Timberwolves fan, that's what you would do. You would wait till the Memphis Grizzlies get a little momentum and then you run out onto the floor. If you're anti-Timberwolf, an anti-Timberwolf owner, then you would do anything and everything you can to help the Memphis Grizzlies. So you got to be strategic in your protests. Or maybe better off, you buy a courtside seat and you wear a shirt that just says a message and you leave it at that. That way you're seen more on TV than just once being escorted out after the TV cameras turn away from you. You know?
Again, that is entirely too smart.
That is entirely too smart. You're looking for, now, don't get me wrong, they've gotten a lot of coverage, which is ultimately what they wanted. They have brought attention to their cause, not the best of intention when it comes to the attention, but I get it. Steve, our buddy Steve says, what a montage of classic calls that would be with a combination of Kevin Harlan and Paul Allen all put together. That would be awesome. Ben, you now have a project. You now have a project. Maybe you have to edit those all together. That would be awesome.
I mean, I have them all saved somewhere.
Combine
play them back to back to back to back.
Well, you would have to insert them. You know, Kevin Harlan doing the, he's drunk. And then, you got Paul Allen yelling, this isn't Detroit.
He's walking. He's walking to the 3. He's at the 2. And the Cat is in the CDW red zone. CDW, people who get it now, a policeman, a state trooper has come on the field, and the Cat runs into the end zone. That is a touchdown. And the cat is elusive.
Exactly. The fact that the cat is in the CDW red zone. That's fantastic. Oh my God. That is awesome. Oh, the cat is in the CDW red zone. I love Kevin Harlan. We got to get him on the air. We got to get a hold of Kevin. God, we got to get him on the air. He is just the best. He is the best. Can you imagine, like, I know he listens because he's up in Door County, so he listens on WMAM, our mighty affiliate up in the Menominee Marinette area. And can you imagine hanging out with Kevin? You know, like you're just doing something average, like making pancakes in the morning, you know, and he's going through the play-by-play as you're pouring the batter and you're flipping the pancakes. And, you know, in the meantime, he's giving all the details and display and description as you're flipping pancakes with one hand and maybe scratching yourself with the other. Just, oh, my God, I can only imagine. That would be fantastic. Kevin Harlan's 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so. Our buddy Steve says, hey, if the Packers really are taking calls about trading Love, as Colin Cowherd reported, why wouldn't Colin Kaepernick be a better option at a minimum salary than anybody else on the team right now? Because he hasn't played in 4 or 5 years. I just, because Kirk Bankert, I think, would be better. Again, for those that want to know, I think, in my opinion, Colin Kaepernick did not find a job because his ability had eroded. He got figured out. If he was a superstar, as everybody made him out to be, he'd have a job. Superstars find jobs, no matter what. It doesn't matter how much of a head case you are. Antonio Brown kept finding jobs. Odell Beckham Jr. proposed to a kicking net on the sideline, still found jobs. Ray Lewis involved in a murder, still found a job, and everybody just forgot about it. It was like, okay, talk to you later. You know, it doesn't matter your level of talent. If you're a superstar, you will find jobs. He wasn't a superstar when his last season culminated. He wasn't that good. And what he basically did was run the football until he got his clock cleaned a couple of times. His team, his season, it was a failure. Everybody had kind of figured, Dom Capers back then had said, just hit him. Just keep hitting him. He's not that accurate to begin with. Just so instead of worrying about the running ability, now just looking at him as a running back and just hit the hell out of him. And that's what teams started to do. He wasn't that good. Yes. Was he blackballed by the NFL and by organizations because of his stances? Absolutely. Because had he not done that, he would have found a backup job somewhere. But this whole notion about, oh my God, he can still start. No, stop. He wasn't a starter when he ended his season. He was bad. So, everybody wants to make him out to be like some guy that was put on a shelf and he was on his way to a Hall of Fame career. And no, you have to weigh the baggage. Was what he was bringing to the table worth what he was going to bring to the locker room? And the answer for many was no. And if it was a question, a 50-50 in your head, you sided on caution by not bringing him back into the league. That's what happened. Nothing more to it than that. He wasn't that good then. He's certainly not anywhere near that good now. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. By the way, Ben Simmons, I'm sure much to the chagrin of one Ben Kenny, our producer, Ben Simmons has been cleared for contact, according to their head coach, Steve Nash. He's got some 4-on-4 work in yesterday. Nash said he came through it pretty well. Ben Simmons, weak sauce, lackluster, expected to make his Nets debut within the next week. according to many. There you go. How about that, Ben? Are you looking forward to seeing Ben Simmons maybe reemerge and then possibly, just kind of fade off into that good night, so to speak?
Oh, he's going to emerge, and he's going to make sure everyone knows it, and it's going to be a colossal failure, and I can't wait.
We all hope. We all hope. Good stuff there. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, do it. A lot of good stuff today. And this one's from Sandy. Sandy says, please stop. You're making me wet my pants. Sorry, Sandy. Is that an incontinence problem, or are you just laughing so hard because of the Kevin Harlan stuff? Either way, there is such a thing called poisy pads, or maybe full on depends. Whatever you may need. And this is Rob. Rob says, sitting down, eating some Italian beef right now. Listening to the program. The Kevin Harlan stuff is gold. I would love to hear him call a few more Packers games on the radio. Yeah, I mean, Kevin Harlan, you get Kevin Harlan in the preseason. He's preseason TV for the Packers. So we all know that. So you get a little dose, and it's great that he's right here, It's great that he's here with us, that he's one of our own. He's in our own backyard. Good stuff. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Find us. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hey, last night on my way back, stopped over and checked out some people that were hanging out at the Wrestling Taco last night, leaving the ballpark. And right there on 84th Street, just south of State Fair Park. So coming up Greenfield last night, coming down the back way, back out towards Waukesha, stopped in and told everybody hi. Great place. Quite a few people in there that were sitting there watching the game, as a matter of fact, last night. So the Wrestling Taco right there on the corner on 84th Street, just a couple of blocks south of the Wisconsin State Fair Park. Stop in and tell Marcus and Nicole and their staff hello. Good people. But they have those big, comfortable, like theater seats that you can sit in these things and actually watch the game in the restaurant, which is really cool. But they take care of you there. The Wrestling Taco out's in West Allis, Wisconsin. And whether it's margaritas, chimichangas, the big burritos, tacos, whatever it happens to be, they've got it. And they have kind of a small party room, too, that can seat up to 12 people. If you want to get together for a gathering or a larger event or maybe a small little birthday gathering or something, you can do that, too. But good stuff right there. On 84th Street, just south of the Wisconsin State Fair Park. If you're craving a margarita, just go in and get one either on the rocks or blended. Good stuff. And maybe they'll even let you wear the wrestling mask. It's not a bad way to go. Try to eat something through a wrestling mask. Just give it a shot. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. So got an email here. This is from Scott. Scott says, hey, unit, love the program. Going to be watching both the Brewers and the Timberwolves tonight. Now you've piqued my interest, you SOB. I never watched Timberwolves basketball before, but now it's a must-see TV. Well, I didn't do it. I'm just kind of pointing out the fact that tonight they'll be back at it again, and we shall see if somebody decides to take their dispute, their protest, if you will, back to the court again. What's next? We've seen somebody glue themselves, or at least attempt to glue themselves to a basketball court. We've seen somebody now chain themselves to the stanchion and then go limp. So they basically had to be dragged out of there. Now what? Ben, did you see the story about the USFL player that has been accused the Pittsburgh Maulers of lying on my name? He said they claimed he broke rules. He said, what rules did I break? Now you're lying on my name. Apparently, he said, I was never made aware that I violated any team rules, let alone 3 in a 24-hour span. I never disrespected anyone. Coach Kirby Wilson and I spoke after being released. In that talk, he said that he'd certainly vouch for my character. And apparently he claims that he was let go because he ordered pizza.
Oh, did you see the video?
I have not seen the video yet.
Oh, I'll send it to you. During Hard Knocks when they're going to cut a guy, and they have the video of it where there's the GM and the coach. So they have that. I think they're in some hotel room, and they bring the guy in and said, "Hey, you ordered pizza instead of chicken salad last night, so we're going to have to cut you."
Oh, you know what? That's on Gifted Sports. Gifted Sports Twitter account. I did see that. So he got cut for ordering pizza instead of chicken salad. Is this because they're on a budget and the chicken salad was cheaper? Because it's the XFL or the NFL or the USFL, I should say. That's crazy. What thing could you order that you would be fired for? Short of maybe a gummy that is laced with the real stuff. Beyond that, I can't imagine ordering anything. Now, maybe if we go out to a lunch and when somebody like our buddy Tom Walker, our good Lord and President, maybe he orders and says, "Hey, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back," and you change the order to 5 bottles of Dom Perignon. I can see that. That's a little bit of a difference from, getting maybe a 7-Up or some Sprite or something to Dom. Okay, I can go with that. But beyond that, what would you get fired for? What would be the most egregious thing you could order that you would get canned for? Now, unless, of course, we all go to a conference, or maybe say we're in a hotel next year for spring training, Super Bowl, whatever, and one Ben Kenny at the end of the day, as we get the bill from the hotel, ordered $4,000 worth of porn. That might get you fired. Or it might get you a high five. We don't know.
It depends who's paying.
Certainly not by anybody with a handful of glue. But I could see that happening. Now, that would be an understandable mistake. I could have swore. I thought it was prom videos, not porn videos. I'm so sorry. I've got somebody in my family gearing up for prom this season. I was trying to watch what the newest in suit manufacturers was going to offer. And then I didn't understand the titles. They were crazy to me. But I thought, you know what? If they're going to dress naked people, I want to see what kind of prom suits they're going in. Had no idea it was porn. That would be understandable. I get it. Oh, my goodness. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Let's go back to the phone calls. Talk to our buddy Tim listening to us in Sparta. Tim, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Oh, it's a beautiful day. I'm sitting here in between pickups, and I'm looking at this lake that's just got a gentle breeze, and it's blue, and it's wonderful. So I'm having a great day.
That's awesome, man. That's good stuff. So what else you got other than just enjoying your circumstance?
I was best man at a guy's wedding 40 years ago whose son works for the Players League Association for football.
Okay.
And he says they're going to wait until it comes out definitely, yes, these guys, the Commanders are guilty of running 2 sets of books and hiding money and all this.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to then sue the entire league to make them open up all of their books.
Oh, boy.
So they can get a look. This is the wedge that they've been looking for forever, to pry open the books of the league. And they don't want to get over their skis, and just in case something, that somehow he wiggles out of this affair. But if this is proven that he was keeping 2 sets of books, keeping money from the other owners, and obviously by extension, the players, then they're going to use this as the wedge to get into every team's books. So this is going to be a huge deal if it's proven that he's as big a scumbag as we all
Right.
actually believe that he is.
Yeah.
And that's just ridiculous. And the only way that I can, and then with your just last conversation, the only way I could see you getting fired from a football team for ordering different food is if, like you're in Chicago and you order New York style instead of deep dish.
Okay.
I mean, I could see you getting fired at that point, but otherwise, let's be serious.
Yeah.
That's just the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard.
Yeah, I completely concur with you. Appreciate it, man. Thanks. Yeah, going back to the whole discussion regarding the Players Association. Like I said, I cannot believe that we have not heard anything yet, unless they're just waiting to see if all this becomes, fact, and then hell hath no fury, like the NFL Players Association scorned. By the way, Ben, I have heard from our El Presidente, Tom Walker.
About what I would be fired for?
Tom Walker. No, I'm sitting here, my phone buzzed, in case you heard it, and I'm thinking, who's texting me? And it is El Presidente. I don't know where he's at. I don't know if he's in the office, which is like a museum, or if he's in a bunker somewhere. I have no idea, but he said he is not a Dom fan. So if you did order Dom Perignon at one of our business meetings and he didn't pay for it or didn't expect to pay for it and came out and found that Ben Kenny had ordered up numerous bottles of Dom, he would know that he didn't order it. He's a bourbon and whiskey guy, Scotch guy, maybe a craft beer guy.
Also,
no Dom.
For the record, I would order New York style pizza in Chicago because it is far superior.
You got to be in the mood for Chicago style pizza. For the deep dish pie, you got to be in the mood for that. I've got a place called Sal's Pizza is right out here near me, and they've got the authentic, really good deep dish, like you got to cut it with a fork and a knife type of pizza, and it's really, really good, but you got to be in the mood for it. The New York style, the big giant flat ass piece that you take your middle finger when you grab it with your thumb and your middle finger, and then you take your pointing finger and you slide it down between it and you fold it over and you eat it like a pizza taco type of thing, and you stuff that in your I love that too. Love them both. Good stuff. But yeah, you got to be in the mood for the Chicago pizza. And then because of the amount of mush on top of it, you can't eat it piping hot because then it just runs everywhere. So you got to either one, scoop it and then put it on your plate and eat it with a fork and knife, or you wait till it cools a bit and begins to coagulate that cheese. And then once it's together, then you can lift it up with your pinky and your thumb, slide that on top of those two, and then hold it with your three middle fingers because it's a much heavier piece. And then you start to chew on that thing and bite it and throw it in your grill. That's the way you do it. Because the New York style, though, you fold it over, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you just say coagulate?
I did.
What does that mean?
That means it begins to congeal. It's not that runny, melted cheese. It starts to harden again.
Ah, I see.
You went to college, man. What do they not teach you there at UW-Madison?
I didn't learn what coagulate meant.
It's coagulate, not coagulate.
Exactly.
I would like to coagulate you on your successes.
That's some tough vocabulary. Also, I went to journalism school. We didn't learn like words. We just learned how to.
Journalism it's the art of wordsmith. It is, it's different things that go within your nomenclature that you can pull out at any point in time and say, I've learned this. Here you go.
Yeah, but I never covered a pizza shop.
Oh my God. There we go. We got to take a break. We got more coming up right after this. See ya. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends, a couple of veterans. Great company right here in the state of Wisconsin, Racine, Wisconsin to be exact. It's called Burn Pit Barbecue, burnpitbbq.com. They were just picked as one of the best veteran-owned companies in the state as well, and kudos to them. But if you want sauces, rubs, a lot of the new kind of things that they have, including the hot sauces, go to burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com. Again, burnpitbbq.com. Ben, in your vast journalistic discovery, yesterday, something went viral out of the state of Wisconsin. Do you know what it is?
Of course I do. Oh, this was great.
The Pound Town? For those that didn't know, and I have to admit, I didn't know until somebody a friend of mine on Facebook sent it to me. And then Kristen had told me about it. She sent me a picture and she said, do we need to get this for the bedroom? And it is a handmade sign in the country-esque fixture that says, welcome to Pound Town. And I'm like, what? You know, it's obviously a play on words, where maybe amorous things begin to happen within the bedroom fixture. But a woman who made the sign, welcome to Pound Town, apparently her and her husband have been flipping houses for quite some time. And a house that they had recently fixed up, she then decorated. And they took pictures. And the sign that is above the bed says, welcome to Pound Town. So... which, look, I'm like, hey, that's and the room itself is beautiful. I was looking at the pictures. It's a $420,000 home. And I was looking at the pictures. I'm like, wow, that's really nice. The windows are nice. There's a lot of light coming in. It's as many houses today are. It's a darker gray with a lot of white, new fixtures and such, you know, but above the bed is the sign, welcome to Pound Town. Now,
I'm not going to play the drop bill.
Let's take it a step further. What if the sign was above the bed and the bed was in the corner and it was just a single? Just thought I'd throw it out there. Leave it at that.
Your guy, he choked.
Right? There you go. I just leaving it out there. But that is there's a Twitter follow called Zillow Gone Wild. And Zillow Gone Wild, which, by the way, Zillow Gone Wild has almost 171,000 followers. Zillow Gone Wild retweeted it, and it went crazy. It is a house in Onalaska, Wisconsin, which is right there by our good affiliate in La Crosse. This might be Dave Carney's house. How Dave Carney's not all over this, I have no idea. I bet you see it should have like a little mark behind the bed. It says Dave Carney slept here. Our morning show guy at WKTY out there.
Oh boy.
Welcome to Pound Town. There you go. Which I'm surprised because that is also La Crosse is the home of Quick Trip. If they really wanted to make a statement, they could have put like Quick Trip wrappers for those great cheeseburgers all over the place. Maybe had some of that fried chicken laying on the nightstand, something like that. You know, Quick Trip should have had a part of this. So anyway, welcome to Pound Town. Now, answer me this. How many Pound Town signs are currently being made to put in bedrooms all across America?
I looked it up yesterday. They cost around $70.
Where at?
This website called Etsy, which
okay.
Artists make things and sell them.
I use Etsy all the time. Believe it or not. I use Etsy all the time for all kinds of unique stuff for the house.
For your signage?
I have used it for signs, but I just got a really cool whiskey barrel table that I had, a coffee table that I found on Etsy, and it was constructed and sent to the house. I just got it for the cigar bar. But now I've got to get a Pound Town sign. I got to find one. Gonna have to go out there and track down that Pound Town sign. Oh my God. There you go.
I'm gonna get one that just says the dictionary definition of coagulate or coagulate.
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 However the hell you say it.
I had a conjugal visit. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, real quick, want to let you know, coming up Sunday. Now, I can't go because I've got some people coming to the house. But gates open at noon, and qualifying starts a little after, and racing's at 2. But they have got the Slinger Speedway opens up, and I'm sure many of the racetracks all throughout the great state of Wisconsin are going to open up, weather permitting, the 75th season opener for Slinger Super Speedway. I don't even think it's a super speedway. I think it's just a speedway. But it is, if you've ever been out to Slinger, it's like racing in a salad bowl. It's tiny, man. Fastest quarter mile there is out there. Asphalt track. And say hi to our buddy Joe, Ryan and Joe and everybody from the DeStefano family and our friends from Wabam. They're going to be out there as well. Wabam, W-A-B-A-M. Wabam. Thanks to them for being a part of the program. But they're going to be out there racing in the pro late models. Coming up this weekend. Admission 11 and under are free. There you go. But racing, another sign of spring. Racing is back in the state of Wisconsin. Now, again, it's supposed to be a lot of rain this weekend, so maybe it ain't going to happen. But nevertheless. So whatever speedway you're heading to, may the sun always shine. We got Steve Ashburner coming up, NBA.com lead writer. Going to talk some about the NBA. And then at the bottom of the next hour, also in case you missed it, Brandon Woodruff, pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. You're going to hear that conversation coming up as well. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up after this. The program, glad to have you, the Bill Michaels Show on the air, and we are glad you are with us today. And the final hour begins. We're going to hear at the bottom of the hour from Brandon Woodruff, pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, is going to be joining us. You're going to hear that conversation. In the meantime, we go to our buddy Steve Ashburner, senior writer for the NBA, NBA.com, based out of Chicago, but apparently he carries bolt cutters with him in the in the part-time as he was right there in Memphis next to the woman that decided to chain herself to the stanchion. Steve, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Bill. Yeah, we deploy our people. I think my bosses sit and they try to predict what's going to be a more competitive and interesting series, and I think they saw Bulls Bucks as a little too lopsided. So I'm doing Memphis, Minnesota, at least through 4 games, and we'll see where that stands.
So
I
was going to say, ask you about that.
Exhibition there by the protester. I couldn't quite see what was going on. My first thought was, how do you get a chain into an arena where everybody's passing through metal detectors, are getting wanded, bags are being checked, and then when I watched replays of it, it looked almost like it was a hard plastic chain, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know any different, but that's my assessment from watching that. But yeah, they security people went over there and they picked her up bodily. She fought for a moment or two, and she was getting nowhere, and they carried her head first on her side. She didn't look happy, and they carried her, along the baseline, and then right out the tunnel near where I was sitting. And it was a little bit of comic relief. At that point, I'm not sure what's being accomplished. Obviously, they're going for awareness. I don't know the details of the Glenn Taylor chicken farm situation, but that's where we're at these days.
Well, now that's the reason it's must-see TV tonight, to see if something actually culminates. Tonight I'm going to be flipping back and forth between the Brewers game and the Minnesota Timberwolves game just to see what's next. Because first of all, you had somebody that didn't use the best of glue, tried to glue herself to the court, and now this. So, what next step do they take?
Now, have you heard? I don't even know. Was it the same woman or was it
No, it's a different woman,
an associate? Okay.
Yeah,
all
different.
I didn't know if they were traveling or whether they have, home offices in these various markets. But, will they escalate? I mean, it's hard to say. I got to think that there'll be a greater awareness with security at all the gates at FedEx Forum.
Yeah,
to make sure they may want. I was going to say they could get people to open up their jackets and show their protest T-shirts, but I suppose you could wad that up and put that on in a restroom or something before you want to, make your little stage demonstration. But that's great. I got to, we don't really hear much aftermath. I mean, I have not followed up in terms of the news sense to find out, did she have to spend the night in the slammer? The only thing you can ultimately do is dial up the punishment enough that they know that this isn't going to be a slap on the wrist.
So to stuff on the court, I guess, like you said, the Bucks Bulls were somewhat boring, I guess, but for the Bulls, that was probably the closest they've come to getting a win in a long time. They were down 16. They came storming back, made a few adjustments, but Giannis and company sustained. And between Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, they just weren't hitting their shots. But Brook Lopez certainly seemed to be the key to the victory in that game the other day on Sunday. So that matchup, I think we all can say that I picked the Bucks to win that series 4-1. I mean, am I crazy in doing so?
Yes, you are, Bill, because I picked it to be a sweep. So you gave the Bulls more credit than I did. I just thought that Chicago, the way they played down the stretch of the season, last month or two, and where the Bucks are in terms of, they had Lopez back and were ready to flip a switch to hit this postseason hard. I just figured that this would be over quickly. The Bucks for all sorts of reasons. I presume if they didn't want to, they should have wanted to make a statement and remind the Bulls that, just who the defending champions are and who's lucky to be in the postseason based on the way they had played lately. But it's probably hard. I mean, Milwaukee dominated Chicago so much during the regular season and then had such success to start that game on Sunday that, maybe focus wandered a bit for the Bucks. It wasn't a good look for them, in my view, to let Chicago into that series because the Bulls, probably probably are full of themselves right now, and maybe more difficult out than they were going to be if Milwaukee had punched them hard in the nose and then punched them again. I'll tell you, that game to me was almost unwatchable, though, because of the horrible three-point shooting. I get it. I mean, I know what the numbers guys say. You don't have to be an analytical genius. You can just do simple mathematics to understand that, the percentages of shooting threes versus twos, and that's fine unless you're not making those threes. And yet both teams kept shooting them. I know, that's the game plan. They never think they're going to miss their next shot, so they keep taking it from out there. I just really was hoping one of those teams would decide, you know what, this ain't working. Let's go inside. And, that to me would have been, the better way to go. I mean, Brook Lopez did have a good game, but he was sort of indicative of the whole game himself, because he was 6 of 9 on 2-pointers and 1 of 5 on 3-pointers. And, sometimes I think this league neglects the entertainment value. It's not fun to watch, 60 missed threes. I think it was in that ballpark. I think the two teams combined for 17 out of 70 something. And, it affects the game. I mean, threes, when they're missed, kick into long rebounds. That tends to trigger fast breaks. Maybe they're fine with that. They think that that's exciting. But to watch professional players hoist 3-pointers and make shots about as frequently as you'd make down at the Y yourself and with your lunchtime pickup guys, I mean, it's not, I don't know. It gets frustrating. That's the facet, and that's where the pendulum, I think, has swung too far, is this blind adherence to the 3-point game, or bust kind of thing.
Well, that was Budenholzer's motto when he first got to town, was let it fly. I mean, they had T-shirts made up. I mean, that was what they went by, was just threes beat twos, and let's take more threes and we take twos, and we're going to win more games that way.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I just think that there's a factor of uncontrollability in there that if it's not your day, and if you haven't found a hot hand by a certain point, somebody that you can rely on to make them today, if you're just going to play numbers percentages, I mean, I just think it's less interesting. It's just, well, by God, we're going to keep shooting from out here, and that's we'll take our chances. We'll shrug, and if we lose, so be it. Or if the game's way closer than it should be because we didn't find other ways to pound our opponent. That, like I say, that was my beef with the game. The Bucks are a superior team. I still think maybe this is as close as Chicago gets, and they'll feel a little bit better about themselves or whatever. But I'm not budging off my prediction of a sweep until I have to.
In the meantime, the Celtics get a dramatic last-second victory over the Nets. And I said all along, I thought the Nets coming into this would be an extremely tough team if they had everything going. And Kyrie, obviously, going back and forth with the Boston fans. But ultimately, they didn't get a win. So what does that do to the Nets losing that first game in that particular fashion with Kyrie even putting up 39?
Well, he's a pretty uber confident / cocky kind of a player. He can tell us and even tell himself that he thrives in that sort of a emotionally charged, raucous, even vulgar atmosphere. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I think it's hard to win when you're taking on 18,000 people, any one of whom can set you off. And, the only price that person plays is they might spend a night in the Hooskow and lose their ticket. But, your team, the Brooklyn Nets, they could lose their way and lose a playoff series over it. I mean, he's sort of challenging the fans to bring their nastiest, and he engages with it. And, it's one thing if you're aloof, if you're bulletproof to that sort of thing, and you just stay away from it entirely. I don't know. He's a great wrestling heel at this stage, publicly. And so I guess that will be the aspect to watch with him.
Talking with Steve Ashburner, NBA.com senior writer. You can find him on Twitter at Ash, ASCH NBA. You can find his stuff there. In the meantime, you had a pretty good one last night. Golden State just destroyed last evening the Nuggets, and in doing so, the Nuggets started infighting, which I thought was rather interesting. But the Warriors, talk about teams that can shoot the three between the Warriors and the Phoenix Suns, which I think those two teams are on a collision course to face one another. Both of those teams can light it up from the outside, and last night was no different for the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean they've got a good core at this point again, and when you've added Jordan Poole to the Splash Brothers of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, I mean those are snipers out there, and that's tough to beat. And Denver's we knew it coming in. We knew it when a lot of people cast votes for Nikola Jokic as MVP. I didn't have him number one, but he was certainly in that top three that everyone talked about. They're just undermanned. I mean, no Michael Porter Jr., no Jamal Murray. They've done well this season to get to the point that they did, a 6 seed, but they don't have the firepower to keep up with Golden State at this stage. So I would expect that to be potentially another sweep. I didn't pick it, but I can see that going that way at this point.
The best team in the East, is it the Bucks, or do we look at, say, a team like the 76ers who just disposed of the Raptors and they're up 2-0? Do we look at, say, Brooklyn and say, hey, if they put it all together and they start playing and Kyrie just kind of remains focused, they're the best team? Who's the best team in the East?
Well, I mean, if I'm a Milwaukee fan, the team I have to keep my eye on most is Miami. I remember what Miami did to Milwaukee a couple years ago in the bubble, and yeah, there was payback last postseason when the Bucks swept them out. But there's no guarantee that's going to stay. That balance is going to stay the way it is. I think the Heat are playing extremely well. They've got their main pieces. Spoelstra is one of the top coaches in the league. They would be the team I would fear the most if I were the Bucks. I don't know. They may just feel more confident against the Heat based on last year, but that's a pretty gritty team, and they seem to be on a mission. Philadelphia, I am never going to pick them as any sort of a favorite, even in the conference or otherwise, as long as James Harden is there. I mean, I'm not a fan. I think he has to prove himself first. I'm not going to concede anything to a team with James Harden in the playoffs.
And before I let you go, I did want to ask you a little bit about when you get to the West. Is it the Warriors and the Phoenix Suns? The Warriors obviously didn't have the best record, but I think healthy, they're to me one of the top two the teams to beat. And I really like obviously Phoenix, and I think Phoenix is playing with a chip on their shoulder for what they missed out on last year in the finals against the Bucks. It's easy to say the best team with the best record in the NBA is the best. But I think those two teams, either one, are going to give the Bucks problem because the Bucks don't defend the three very well.
Yeah. I think Phoenix is the best team in the league. I think they have everything they need at every spot. I think Monty Williams has done a great job of first he built on an 8-0 little run in the bubble to get what they got last season. They made it to the finals. They were up 2-0. Couldn't close that out against Milwaukee to the Bucks' credit. But they've come back this year and just sort of marched along without interruption toward this point. And I think I said it about Miami. I certainly believe it about Phoenix in terms of being on a mission. They have a very mature aspect to them. They're never get too high, never get too low. That cliche thing. It's sort of the standard deviation is pretty small. They do what they do. They don't get rattled much. And I think they're going to be in the finals, and I think they're probably going to be the champs.
Great stuff as always, Steve. I appreciate it. We'll touch base as the NBA finals and the NBA postseason goes along. Okay.
All right, Bill.
Thanks, buddy. Stay safe tonight. No glue.
Yeah, no protest from me.
All right. Talk to you soon. There you go. Steve Ashburner from NBA.com, the senior writer there. Follow him over there on Twitter at NBA or at Ash, ASCHNBA, at Ash NBA, and you can see his stuff over on Twitter. Good stuff from Steve Ashburner, who's going to be in attendance tonight, checking on that sleeper cell of chicken protesters that's out there. Good stuff. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. Coming up, bottom of the hour, don't forget, you're going to hear the conversation we had a little bit earlier. Brandon Woodruff of the Milwaukee Brewers. You're going to hear that conversation. It's coming up next on The Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Indy cars are running. Get your ticket to see them scream around the road course in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. For event information, go to roadamerica.com. That is roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Sometimes I get a good feeling.
Glad to have you back. Bill Michaels Show. Bottom of the hour. Going to talk with Brandon Woodruff, Brewers pitcher, here at the bottom of the hour. Jerry says, by the way, I love chicken with tater tots. There you go. You have to ask our
wait till it cools a bit and begins to coagulate.
There you go. Coagulate. The word of the day.
I mean, I'm going to throw a flag there. That's kind of a ridiculous word to bring out on a sports show.
You need to play that sounder for the more you know. The old days.
Can you use it in a sports sentence to describe something sporting?
Poof. Let's see here.
The answer could be no, and then I'll just delete it from my vocabulary.
Yes, I can. Here we go. The spider tack Brandon Woodruff had on his arm was useless after it began to coagulate. Impressed?
Spell it. Oh, I mean, yeah. I'm thinking this is like a spelling bee.
Coagulate. Coagulate.
Oh, all right.
Hey, you're not talking to some giant moron over here.
Oh, I never thought that.
Yes, you did. Everybody thinks it. I think it.
I mean,
you know,
take pizza class in college.
No, but I did when I was the time I was 10 years old. I worked in my uncle's restaurant, which was a really nice Italian place. So, but he never said coagulate. He barely spoke English. He spoke Italian most of the time, and most of the time I think he was yelling at me. So there you go. There you go. Throw out the coagulation. You were impressed I could use it in a sports sentence.
I just wondered where it would apply.
Right? Yeah, there's not many places the word coagulate is going to apply. Mainly, coagulation is used mainly in the reference of blood. Did you know
that's
that?
Yeah, that's what I saw when I looked it up in the dictionary.
Yeah. Most of the time it's used in the same sentence as blood, when you have a cut or an injury and the blood begins to coagulate, and then that's when the bleeding stops. So there you go. Learn something new every day, I guess.
So the next time the Brewers go on a skid, it's like, oh, we're really going to need their blood to coagulate.
Yeah. And next time they go on a skid, they to stop the bleeding, they're going to have to coagulate as a team.
There you go.
Oh, my God. Speaking of coagulation in blood, did you know the number one thing now for wedding receptions? I just read this. I didn't know this. What wedding receptions are now, people that are getting married are trying to make their wedding receptions more memorable rather than just doing the traditional where you go there, you do a couple of dances, you play some music, you have a little cake, have a few beverages, and you leave. Now they're doing events. What is the number one thing that weddings are now beginning to do?
I don't know if I want to know.
Axe throwing.
Huh.
Small weddings of 50 or less are starting to go to axe throwing venues. Yeah. Axe throwing venues. And speaking of blood and coagulation, can you imagine if there's a family fight at one of those? So if you're entertaining, they're doing everything from string quartets, bands, and venues such as axe throwing, beer tasting, microbreweries. There you go. They're putting all this stuff together. How about that? So the next time or the first time you get married, think about that. Going to an axe throwing venue.
My family's more of a scenic somewhere on a nice field, not in the wild, but somewhere in the country,
right?
That kind of wedding.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't even imagine it. I don't want to do that again. I've had too many. I've had the big reception, and I've had the small reception. I've had the mid-size reception. I've had the country reception. I've had the reception on a cruise ship. And the first one was your traditional great big, tons of people. But at the time I was getting married, I knew it wasn't going to last. So
was the marriage never able to coagulate?
It was never coagulating. No, it was never there's a whole, I tell you what, that is a story when we're all sitting around drinking heavily. Put it this way, though. Everybody knew that was not going to work.
Have you seen the TV show Succession?
No.
There's a very good scene in it where a big family, one of the daughters is getting married, and the mother, who was divorced but lived out in Europe, went around the wedding asking every single person what the over-under was of how long the wedding would last.
Okay. Yeah, Now, I know for my first wedding, you could have walked around and asked everybody. When I was literally at the altar in my first wedding, I kid you not, my friends, there's so much to this story. It's so long, but my friends were literally up there as the priest, Father Don McCarthy, God rest his soul, out of Cincinnati, Ohio, was giving the vows, and my friends are up there going, the fake sneeze of don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. They were doing that literally, And then I got the wedding video back, and it was a huge wedding party. And as my best man circles into the pew in the front row, the camera is behind him, basically up near the altar, but it's facing up the aisle. Okay. So it's like over his shoulder, and he is looking towards everybody coming down the aisle. And I have stepped over to where the altar is, and the camera's over his shoulder, and pair by pair, here comes, my groomsmen and the bridesmaids, and his girlfriend was in the wedding. As he turns to the guy next to him, he looks almost dead into the camera and points, kind of nods with his head to his girlfriend, Missy, who's coming down the aisle. And my mom is devout. My mom was, and my mom has passed away, but she was like incredibly devout Catholic, right? Never swore, nothing in my household. So we're sitting around, we're all gathered watching this video. And my buddy looks almost square in the camera. He nods his head back towards Missy coming down the aisle with my great big, huge 450-pound buddy. And he looks at the camera and says, I'm tapping that. And my mom about passed out. I knew that marriage wasn't meant to last. I'll tell you that right now. Man. God is my witness. I just like melted. I'm sitting there with friends and my mom and her church group, and this was the big debut of the wedding video. And so they had it on the TV, and it came in a big VHS and slid the tape in. She's like, here it is. And the music is playing, and it's got all this nice verbiage written on it. And the videographer did a great job. He just happened to catch that, and you can't get rid of it, and that's before sound editing equipment and all that stuff that was really there. And he looks right at the camera and says, I'm tapping that. And my mom and her church group, you could hear the collective gasp as they just about died. And all I did was go, okay, we're done with that. We're done with that. We're not quite sure what the rest of the video is going to reveal, so we're going to screen it first before we play any more of it. And then I pulled it out of the thing, and off I went. All right, that's enough. So there you go. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, Brandon Woodruff, pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. You're going to hear that coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Buy more, save more with a patio door.
Wait, what?
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, the more windows you buy, the more you'll be saving by adding a patio door.
Miss Della from Pella?
Please, call me Gina.
Okay, Gina Della from Pella? Like, I was told there'd be no math.
Like, that's okay. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin makes it easy. Now through April 30th, when you buy 3 Pella windows, you'll save $500 when you add a patio door. Buy 6, save $1,000 with a patio door. Buy a dozen Pella windows, save $2,000 when you...
add a patio door?
Correct. And along with 6 full lines of windows, traditional to contemporary, Pella of Wisconsin has financing to fit most any budget.
Awesome.
Buy more, save more with a patio door, but only through April 30th. Set your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on, this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at the Nice Ash Cigar Bar, Hookah Bar, wines, whiskeys, all that kind of good stuff. Good scotches down there, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha. And stop in and tell Crystal and Aaron, congratulate Aaron. She's getting married. Crystal and everybody, you heard it here. Stop in. Good stuff. Maybe a victory cigar, if you will, for the Brewers tonight. Speaking of the Milwaukee Brewers, on the hotline, Brandon Woodruff, pitcher for the Crew. Brandon, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Just getting settled in, going from 90-degree weather in Arizona. I don't think it seems to get above 45 here so far. So we're just waiting on the sun to keep peeking through and get warmer.
So you're into the season. You're now 10, 11 games in. How long does it take you once you come out of spring training? It's kind of a weird scenario this year because it was a ramped up, accelerated spring training. You get into the season, like you said, you leave warm Arizona, you go play in cold Chicago. You got to go down to Baltimore. You're finally back home. How long does it take you to get settled in?
It takes a little bit. This year has been, the last few years has been different as a whole. And, I mean, if you really look at it, the first couple outings of the season are still technically supposed to be spring training outings if you account for a full spring training. So, I mean, guys are still trying to get into a groove and get going, and it's such a long year. And but yeah, I mean, it takes a little bit to get settled in, but once you do, it's everybody's good to go.
Your first outing versus your second outing, is it a big difference as far as changes or video or what you did? Because the first one wasn't your best, obviously, but the second one, you came out just dealing. Was there something you did, or did you just start to feel better or get into a groove?
Just a couple mechanical changes, like I mentioned. Like it takes a little bit to get going for me, but once I kind of nail some stuff down and can feel right, I feel like I can sustain that for a while. And that doesn't necessarily mean results in a way, because the baseball game is crazy. So, but just trying to get to the point where I feel good. And I felt like the St. Louis compared to the Chicago, I was in a better spot in terms of being able to throw strikes and kind of do what I wanted to with the baseball. And so now just trying to get more consistent with that and, run along with that throughout the season.
Looking at all the preseason predictions, you guys are obviously picked to win the division in many different facets. How difficult is it, though? And I try to explain this to people because they just say on paper, this is what it is. Corbin's going to be dealing, you're going to be dealing. Then you look at Freddie and what he did last year. No problem. Pitching staff's great. But how tough is it to emulate last year when you have success to this year? Because it really is a different time.
It's different. Every team now has a DH. That makes up a little bit of difference. You're not facing a pitcher there sometimes in the lineup. I mean, it's just the game of baseball is so difficult. Yes, we expect to have those same results or even better, but it's going to be a different year. It's a different time for baseball. We don't know how the season is going to go. Wish I had a crystal ball and could tell you that we were going to all put up the numbers we did last year, but we're expecting to do better, but we'll just see how it unfolds. But it's a different year, and you can already tell with that extra hitter in there in the lineup, it makes a difference. So just trying to adjust to that and go out there and just try to keep making pitches, and we'll see where we're at the end of the year.
Talking with Brandon Woodruff, Brewers pitcher, joining us on the hotline. When you guys finally get fans in the stands, you have a normal opening day. Do you breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief because the last 2 years for you guys have been so tumultuous?
Yes. No, it was nice getting to throw the home opener. It was packed out. It just felt normal. It felt right. And you know what? Hopefully that's the case going forward. And you're right. The last couple of years have been weird. They've been different. And that's just kind of what we've had to deal with. So, it was definitely a breath of fresh air getting to our home opening series and seeing a lot of Brewers fans. So it was definitely fun.
When I was listening to Andrew McCutchen describe the incident, we'll say, when he got hit down in Chicago, and the incident aside, I'm listening to him talk, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy's a vet. He gets it. He's well-spoken when it comes to kind of expressing what guys think inside, careers, clubhouses and such. Has he become, even though he's kind of that DH, but because he's a veteran, he's been there, done that, he become kind of a very quiet leader?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say he's real quiet, but and not in a bad way, but he's vocal, and he is definitely a veteran leader, and he brings that presence to the clubhouse. And you're right, he's been there, he's done that. He's been in about every situation. He's won an MVP, and just a great person and a great ball player. So he brings a lot to the table, and we're very lucky to have him.
Then you've got a guy like Lorenzo Cain. He's kind of said this might be his last hurrah. Christian Yelich coming off of a couple of subpar performances, but busts out in a big way last night. Both of those guys contributed last night. Does it take one or two games like that to maybe jumpstart some guys to get them going? Because I know last night watching Yelich with his swing, how majestic it was, and he boomed that grand slam. It wasn't like it was just got out. It was gone. Does something like that get guys going?
Yeah, definitely. You just never know when things are going to click in a sense. And but, yeah, I mean, it just takes a game or two, and next thing you know, a guy's in a good spot, and they rely on that and just try to get as consistent as possible and keep trying to do the right things to be successful. So, yeah, I mean, it just takes an instance, and you never know when that's going to be.
When you, outside looking in, when you lose a couple of games early, fans who are salivating for baseball to come back, they start to panic. They start to say, oh, my God, the sky is falling. And in baseball, how difficult is it? Because you're in that clubhouse. You know it's a grind. You know it's a long season. You know 1 week can turn it around, especially early on in a season. How difficult is it not to start to think in the back of your head that maybe the sky is falling? Or maybe you don't even care. You're just like, you know what? We just got to grind it out. This is the end of our spring training. We go through the dead arm period. We go through the tired period, the dead leg period. We just got to get through that and keep going.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff that goes into a full season that, in terms of you looking at record and stuff, that I feel like we've always never really come out of the gate hot, but there's always that instance in the season where we just start playing really, really good baseball and kind of catch fire. And you know what? That's kind of what every team, you know, if they're at the top of the division, that's what they're going to do. So. You look at last year when we had such a big lead at the end of the year, and then the Cardinals just caught absolute fire, winning, I don't know, what is it, 17, 18 games in a row. And you just never know when that's going to happen. But when you do, you just ride that wave as long as possible. But that's why baseball is such a mental sport. You got to be mentally tough to grind out 162. It is a long, long year. And I don't think many people realize that. And but yeah, it's a long year, but you just gotta stick with it and stay to your day-to-day process and just keep going.
How is it using the pitch.com device?
I canned it after about the third inning in Chicago. It went out on me in the middle of the inning, and I didn't like it. And that's for me personally. Some other guys still use it, I think, but it brings a different element to the game. Yeah, I can see there's some benefits to it, but it's weird having a little voice in your ear, and when the crowd gets loud and all that stuff, I'd rather just, you know, be normal and have signs.
Now, can you pick the voice, or is it like just a standard computerized voice, or is it that British lady that gives you instructions, directions to your GPS, or what?
I actually think they told us in spring training that you can record, like if we wanted our voice on it, we could record our own voice, you know, on it. So I can't remember. I don't know whose voice it was on it. It was somebody on our staff, and but yeah, it was. You can record your own voice, I believe, if you wanted to. But it just it was a little different. But there are some benefits to it. But at the end of the day, I like to be as normal as possible and just go that way.
Before I let you go, I got to ask you: do you wish you could still hit? Did you like hitting as a National League pitcher?
I tell you, it was fun, but the thing when I'm pitching, man, I'm totally focused on pitching, and sometimes I'm sitting there on the bench, and hey, man, you got to go on, get on deck. You're about to be up, and you kind of have to lock in on that. But now it's just strictly, worrying about pitching and how am I going to make pitches, and that's what it strictly comes down to now. But yeah, I did enjoy getting in the box and hitting, because that's something I did as a kid growing up my whole life. And but you know what? It's different. So just got to get used to that and roll with that.
The cerebral side, I felt, of the National League style of play, I thought was so interesting, not only for the managerial aspect, but for the fans to try to think ahead, obviously, for what it is we do when it comes to second guessing and such. But I just thought that there was such an art to the National League style, whether it was a pitcher dropping down a sacrifice, a double switch, and things. I just thought there was an art to it that now is gone.
Yes, I completely agree. And that was one thing that I kind of miss about it. You have to think through so many different options, and that's where the chess game comes out. There's just so much stuff you have to think ahead for, and you know what? It's when we go to in the interleague, it kind of takes away the experience of the interleague play. When we go to the AL or the AL teams come to us, it just kind of takes that experience away for both sides. And there was definitely a lot of thinking ahead going on and trying to figure things out in the National League for sure.
I appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Best of luck to you in the near future, and I hope to talk to you again down the road. And if not, we'll see you at the Wisconsin State Fair, hopefully in August. Okay?
Yes, sir. You sure will. Thank you, guys.
All right. Great stuff, Brandon. Appreciate it, buddy. There you go. Brandon Woodruff of your Milwaukee Brewers. Hopefully he has a good game tomorrow, pitching the finale of the Pittsburgh series. Corbin Burns on the hill tonight for the Crew as they take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Game 2 of that series. Stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at MKE Brewing. If you're heading downtown tomorrow night, maybe you want to, for the Fiserv Forum to see the Bucks, maybe you want to stop over to MKE Brewing, only a couple of blocks west of the Fiserv Forum, do a little beer tasting, maybe get a little food ahead of time, then head over to the Deer District, and you are good to go getting into the Fiserv Forum. Or maybe it's just a great place to go and watch the game. Right there on 9th Street, 9th and Highland, right on the corner. Stop by, see our friends over at MKE Brewing. That's MKE Brewing. And you got all kind of good craft beers about ready to come out for the summer months as well. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show wrapping things up coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Final segment of the Bill Michaels Show. Before we get out of here today, I want to say hi to our friends at Curly's Waterfront Pub and Grill, Lakeview Boulevard in Pewaukee, overlooking the lake, and they've got a big selection of brews and cocktails and fresh-made food, bands, ticket giveaways, all that kind of good stuff to all your favorite teams, raffles, charity nights. Go to curlyswaterfrontpub.com or follow them on Facebook. That's curlyswaterfrontpub.com. Also, I want to say hi to our friends at Stoley's Hog Alley. Now, they are under construction. By the way, Jeff and Alicia out there, they want to let you know that they've got a big event coming up where they're going to raffle off stuff from the old bar. So if you're looking for neon signs, if you're looking for just signs in general, some of those tins, all that stuff, gotta go. They're going to raffle all that stuff off. So stop out to Stoley's Hog Alley and get in on that. Good stuff there. So tonight coming up not on the program, but tonight coming up, you've got some NBA basketball. Bucks off tonight, back at it again tomorrow, but you got the Hawks and the Heat. And as we had talked about a little bit earlier, the Timberwolves and what form of protest is going to take place this evening, we'll have to wait and see, but they're on the road taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. The Pelicans, who trail this series against the Suns 1-0. That's the late game tonight, 9 o'clock on TNT. In the meantime, Major League Baseball, the Brewers tonight back at it down at American Family Field. JT Brubaker on the hill tonight for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Corbin Burns on the hill. Still winless on the season, even though he's pitched pretty well. Still winless, but he goes to the hill tonight for the Brewers with that 2.25 ERA. Pitching pretty stellar. Elsewhere in the National League Central, you've got the Reds. They're on the road. They have lost 7 straight against the Padres coming up tonight. And San Martin goes to the hill tonight against Musgrove for the Padres. In the meantime, you got St. Louis on the road in Miami taking on the Marlins. Adam Wainwright on the hill against Luzardo this evening. And then the Cubs are hosting the Tampa Bay Rays. The Cubs are at home at Wrigley. Justin Steele on the hill against Matt Weisler tonight. So you've got all of that going on in the National League Central. Everybody's pretty much in action. Full slate of games, although the White Sox were postponed in Cleveland already today. A lot of the weather that we had yesterday has made its way towards Cleveland and into the upper eastern portion of the seaboard. And so some games being affected by inclement weather. You've got the Washington Nationals, by the way, already in action today, 2-1, leading the Diamondbacks. That game is in the 6th inning. But that other game between the White Sox and the Guardians over in Cleveland has been postponed because of all the weather we had here yesterday with the snow and the blech, and they're getting the back end of that, plus some lake effect. So that game has basically been snowed out. So that'll do it. So tomorrow, who we got tomorrow on the program, Ben? Anybody in particular?
Sam Monson from Pro Football Focus.
Good
to
stuff.
Talk various draft and what you were talking about yesterday.
So
the craziness of where contracts have gone.
Yeah. And we were talking about that earlier too. Like if you are the Packers right now and you've been kind of holding off and maybe thinking about restructuring Jair, I mean, with the way the salaries have gotten so crazy in terms of corners, wide receivers. It's not just quarterbacks that are getting this huge money. And teams like Cleveland have really kind of screwed it up for everybody. But, man, it's you talk about kind of the craziness right now in the NFL. So we're going to get into that discussion tomorrow and see if maybe the coagulation happens regarding salaries in the NFL rather than the bloodletting that's begun. How do you like that for using the word coagulation there, Ben?
I want to retract earlier statements. And for my example, the woman who tried to glue her hand to the court, the glue never coagulated.
Coagulated properly. You are correct.
You wait till it cools a bit and begins to coagulate.
There you go. Ah, that's good stuff. Good stuff. So, anyway, that being said, we'll be back at it again tomorrow. Hopefully the Brewers get a win tonight. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Talk some NFL draft and salaries escalating in the National Football League. That's coming up. Also, we'll get you ready for the Bucks and the Bulls game 2 down at the Fiserv Forum coming up tomorrow night as well. Off to meetings now and doing some good stuff. Charitable meetings, which are always great. Love that. And then back home and then going to sit back, relax, get a beverage, and watch the Brewers. That's coming up a little bit later on tonight. So good night tonight. Until we talk again, 20 hours from now. That'll do it.